across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello and a good evening to you this Monday. It is Monday already. I'm always so shocked by Monday coming around so quickly, even though obviously it follows Sunday. But yeah, here we are again to another week. But what I'm talking about at midnight, I hope will get you engaged. And that is this story. I know you've heard it through the day, but big changes coming to road safety rules. So a major overhaul of UK road safety laws is expected to be announced later this year as the government tries to reduce the number of fatal car crashes. Now, what happened was that at the beginning of all of this, the road deaths plummeted. They went down. The introduction of safety belts, the introduction of drink driving limits and things like that. The deaths went right down, and now they've started to climb back up again. And I mean, I'm not surprised, because I know when I was younger, all of those clunk click every trip, those horrendous adverts, right, of a hammer hitting a peach. Who doesn't remember that, right? We were terrified into wearing safety belts. And then there was a whole drink driving stuff where you had, you know, that horrendous advert where the two people are sitting behind a table in a pub and it suddenly becomes like a car and smashes in. I mean, just again, we were absolutely terrified out of drink driving. I don't think those adverts exist anymore. And certainly the sort of television television that we watched where those adverts were shown doesn't exist anymore. So it's not really surprising that people don't have as much fear as we perhaps did of driving. I mean, we were honestly just terrified the whole time, and did everything we could to... And that was even when cars were just not particularly those safety conscious, were they? I mean, I had one of those old Minis where you could see the road through the floor of the driver's side. So, I mean, and their braking capability didn't have assisted braking, didn't have assisted steering, none of that kind of stuff. But still, even though we have those safety things fitted now, the deaths and the injuries are rising again. So there's no mistake that the government is right to look at this. But one of the things they're looking at is that 70-year-olds, from the age of 70, when you renew your licence every 3 years, that you can't just self-proclaim that your eyesight is good enough to drive, that you actually have to get some form of certificate. Also, they're looking into tests for dementia or other things like that to make sure that older drivers are safe. We've had a lot of incidents with older drivers, although you know, even the RAC says that it's really 80 to 85-year-olds, not 70. So I don't know what this will cost everybody at 70 to have these tests every 3 years in order to renew their licence. You'll also need a new photograph every 3 years. So everything's got to change every 3 years. But I want to know what changes you would make to make driving safer. And there's no doubt about it that younger drivers, it's the younger drivers and the very old drivers that are the most dangerous on the roads for obvious reasons. But what would you do to make driving safer? Give me a call, 0344 499 1000. You can text as well, 87222, put the word talk up front so it comes through to the studio. And also you can WhatsApp on that same phone number, 0344 499 1000. So that's coming up at midnight. Before that, we have the fabulous Cody Darla in the studio, comedy writer and podcaster, going through the front pages for Tuesday. Ryan Harris, who's our US journalist and broadcaster, going through some weird news. And Alex Three Lines Irons taking us through some sports news. So all of that is to come. But first, with those driving rules changing, last year alone, 1,633 people were killed and nearly 28,000 were seriously injured. Those injury numbers are costing the NHS in the region of £2 billion a year. Ministers are considering banning drivers over 70 if they fail compulsory eye tests. And I don't think anyone can argue with that, right? If you fail a sight test, then you definitely shouldn't be on the roads. Also, tougher penalties for uninsured drivers and those who fail to wear a seatbelt or fail to get their passengers to wear a seatbelt. There's been a number of deaths of young people in the back of cars who are not wearing seatbelts. So is this as much as they can do, or could they go further? And what they're suggesting, is that fair to people over the age of 70? Well, joining me now is Maria McCarthy, who's a motoring journalist and author. Good to meet you, Maria. Thank you very much indeed for joining me.
Thank you.
Any of these surprise you? Any of these decisions on the new road safety bill?
Well, the one I really focused on, the one that's got the most headlines, is this whole sort of like eye test for the over 70s. And what I think is that actually we should all be having eye tests, regular eye tests, because it is absolutely ridiculous that you're there, looking at reading a number plate, doing your driving test, and then legally you never have to have your eye test ever again. So I think we should have it at let's say if you pass 17, have a test at 27, 37, 87 and so forth. So then we're not corralling like the over 70s and just making it about them, because your eyesight can decline at any time. I mean, when I was in my mid 40s, I was, having reading glasses, and I went along and my optician said to me, actually, you need driving glasses now. And I said, really? Because I hadn't actually noticed any sort of difference in my vision. But then when I got them and I put them on, everything just sort of sharpened up. And I thought, I'm so glad I had that appointment, because otherwise I actually wouldn't have realised that my vision wasn't what it was.
Yeah, no, I mean, I had 20/20 vision until I hit 40. And then it all, like you, my arms got too short for a menu. They needed to be ever longer. But I was still okay driving. And then I noticed I was driving at night. I don't drive all that often, but I was driving at night. And I felt uncomfortable with the number plates that didn't seem that. I was just uncomfortable with it, and I went in and had my eyes tested, and they said, "Look, you're on the border. You're on the border. It depends whether you want glasses now or you can wait 6 months and come back, but it's borderline." And I just said, "No, fit me up, and give me glasses." And then I would wear driving glasses just for that, and now I'm on triple focus glasses. So I agree with you. I think our eyesight can go, certainly in your 40s, you hit ocular degeneration.
Exactly. And I think the other thing is, as you mentioned about night driving, recovery from dazzle, because when you're like 16, you recover from dazzle with a car coming towards you with bright lights in about 2 seconds. By the time you're 65, it's about 9 seconds.
Wow.
And although driving glasses can't really help that much with it, they can't completely solve that problem. If you've got the correct glasses, it means that your eyes aren't having to work so hard, so they can adjust to that glare far more easily. And this whole thing about, like, oh, if you fail the test, you won't be allowed to drive. Actually, if you fail the eyesight test, you'll probably just be given some glasses. It's okay. You know, I mean, some people's eyesight might be so poor that they can't drive at all, and that's really, really sad. But then those people do need to be off the road. But for most people, it'll just be a case of getting appropriate glasses.
What about, though, tests for other things? You know, if you're going to start looking for dementia, you're going to start having a backlog of specialists who can say that that's what's happening to you, or it's likely to happen to you. I mean, it could have a knock-on effect which would effectively just sort of ban anyone over the age of 70 from driving.
It's a tricky one. I mean, what tends to happen with older drivers is that on the whole, they tend to sort of self-select. So there might have been a time where they'd be like, no, got in a car and driven from Cornwall to Carlisle. I've been totally fine with that. But often they realise that they're not what they were. So they'll sort of like, end up just driving to the supermarket and to visit friends and so forth. But then you get some older drivers who don't do that, who don't recognise that their abilities aren't that great, and who continue. And I think one of the answers to that is to have like driving doctors, i.e. not your GP, because you've already got a relationship with them, but a doctor you specifically go to, you have to go to them, and they will test things like your reflexes, various cognitive things and so forth, and then you'll get to find out whether or not you're still safe to drive.
I mean, concentration levels and things like that can go, can't they, as you get older? But I would imagine that concentration levels for 17-year-olds are pretty bad too. So, I mean, how would you measure that?
Well, we can all think of people. We've all driven past people with terrible concentration levels, like people who sort of are on the phone and they're fiddling around doing goodness knows what in their cars, and so I don't think that concentration levels are necessarily just a problem for like older or younger people.
No.
Like people who just like randomly, parents at the school gates will just randomly come to a stop. That's across the board problem, I think. And going back to what you said earlier about those public information films, I can remember those too, and I think they were really good.
They were really effective.
Give them back, because I think seeing those little stories, because I think what you've got in terms of bad drivers is you've got the really dreadful people, the people who's like, drink a whole load of whiskey or take some drugs and drive, and we sort of think, well, we're not like that, we wouldn't do that. But I think what those sort of films did was they talked to sort of like ordinary people who sort of think, oh, I can send a quick text, or I can have a glass of wine at the book club and drive home, and by putting it into a story where somebody does that and it all goes terribly badly wrong, you can then relate and sort of think, do you know what, that could be me. Because I think that's one of the things about a lot of the adverts we saw is they were just like regular people, and then they just their whole lives were just over because they might have injured somebody, and obviously that's dreadful, the injured person. But it's also something you've got to carry on your conscience. I mean, a couple of years ago, some young people near where I live went out to celebrate some exams, and the driver survived the crash that they had, and his passengers died, and he went to prison, and he's got to have that on his conscience for the rest of his life, poor guy. And obviously it's tragic for people who died and their families as well. So we've got to sort of think about the fact that it can happen to anybody.
Yeah, and I do think those adverts, I don't know how they would deliver them now. They'd have to deliver, because we all watched the same 3 channels, didn't we, as well? So they were popping up on ITV. I mean, the only regretful one is Jimmy Savile with Clunk Click Every Trip, but that's for different reasons. But the thing is, with a lot of older drivers, they rely so much on their cars because they might live in villages, they might live out in the countryside, in smaller towns, and there's no public transport. I mean, I know that they've got to be able to see and they've got to be able to drive safely, but this is the reluctance that a lot of people have in giving up their cars because there is no alternative.
Exactly. I think it's really hard. Like when you see these people on property programs who are like sort of 75 or something, and they're in good health and it's all great, and they sort of say, let's buy this house halfway up a mountain in Snowdonia. What could possibly go wrong? And I do think there's a lot to be said, but obviously not everybody's in a position to move. But you do see some people, sort of like future-proofing, as it were, and sort of thinking, actually, we won't live in the middle of Dartmoor anymore. We'll live in like a little market town. And I think if it is possible to do that, then it's worth thinking of, because otherwise you are dependent on buses that come every other Wednesday, or taxis if you can afford them, which of course not everybody can.
Absolutely. But you've also got an issue, Martha, with people who are saying, I know my parent isn't fit to drive anymore, I've got to have that conversation with them, and along with it, that battle to take car keys away, that can't be. I pity my son when he tries to wrestle the car keys off me, but that is also a really complicated family dynamic.
It is very much. I mean, it's something I've written articles about, and because in actual fact, you can have various conversations, but if people just won't play ball and that they're not safe, one thing you can do is report them to the DVLA, and then the DVLA will write to them and make them go to their doctor, and that is but of course the fallout from that in terms of family arguments and so forth is going to be really significant. I mean, sometimes I think people don't admit it's them. They sort of say, that dreadful woman at number 27 or whatever, and pretend they weren't the one who did it, because you can do it anonymously. But I think it is the right thing to come clean and say, yeah, it wasn't me.
It's a very honestly, that is a conversation that luckily I didn't have to have with my father. But yeah, that would have been difficult. And bless him, he used to drive like Mr. Magoo. I mean, he was just honestly like that with the steering wheel, and there'd be all this beeping and all that stuff around him. But of course, it was never his fault. It was never down to him and his driving. With the costs of this, do you anticipate this also becoming an issue? We already know that pensioners sometimes are having to choose between heating and eating. Have they got to choose between heating, eating and driving? Because if they've got to go to a specialist doctor to get tests done, I'm presuming that you'll have to pay for those.
No, I think they should just be on the NHS. Because basically the NHS doesn't want to have a whole load of ambulances pulling upside with injured people.
True.
It just preempt that by giving people free eye tests and free driving doctor tests.
You get free eye tests over 60, do you?
I think so. Sometimes, some companies will offer you a free eye test anyway, because they want to lure you in, because they're hoping that you're going to buy some expensive glasses from them. So, I think if you shop around a bit, free eye tests are out there to be had.
Yeah. I mean, I am so cheap. I said, no, I'll just have the prescription, thank you, and I get my glasses online.
Yes, that's it. You want to make them think you're going to buy the glasses, then you grab the prescription and leg it out the door.
They're like 600 quid with the lenses in. I'm going, well, sorry. No, my eyes might be going, but my mind is perfectly sharp. So you don't think it'll cost that much more? Do you think that 70 is too low? I mean, your idea of a blanket every 10 years. Yeah, I think it should be done
throughout life. I think it should be every 10 years for everybody, and then perhaps every 3 years once you hit 70. And then it just become normalised.
And what about the drink driving limit? I mean, I don't think any of us understand the difference between 35 mil and 22 mil or whatever it is. Should it be 0? It is in Germany.
I think it should be, because I think it just makes life less complicated. I mean, one thing that I wrote an article a while ago about women in drink driving, because although men are big drink drivers, women tend to drink drive in situations like, let's say if they're going to go to a party or a wedding or whatever, they'll book a taxi home. But women can often get caught drink driving in the old sort of book club thing, because what happens these days is that women tend to drink wine, whereas men drink beer. And so if you're in a pub, then you get a pub measure. But if you're around somebody's house, like, book club type thing, and people have got like wine glasses the size of goldfish bowls these days, do you mean? So you think, I only had one glass. And then, you get in your car and drive, and next thing you know, you've got blue light in your rearview mirror, and you're being breathalyzed. And so, I think that that's an interesting issue as well, about the fact that drink drivers aren't necessarily who we think they are.
You've also got a problem, though, haven't you, certainly in the countryside, where there aren't any police. There just are not enough traffic police. There's, so people probably think, I'm not going to get caught.
Yeah, I think that what we need to do really is I think that it sort of already has happened to a certain extent, is you need to make people sort of police themselves. I mean, I made myself a promise when I passed my driving test that I would never drink and drive, and I've kept it, because I think the thing is, if you think, oh, I had a small glass the other week and I was fine, and so I can have another small glass, and you start to sort of play that game, and I think it's just best that don't drink at all. Because then actually you can let go a bit. Then you can sort of have the times when you don't drink at all, and then you can have times when you have a proper drink.
Yeah, you're not exactly the same. I never ever won't even have one drink.
Just thinking, was that too much?
But I think that's probably because when I lived in Germany, I was there for quite a few years. The drink driving limit was 0, and if you were caught with even, we were even told not to eat, chocolates with liqueur chocolates and things like that, or even some medication could have alcohol in it, and the German police would just throw the book at you. It was just not worth ever worth the risk. So that's kind of stuck with me. The safety belt rule as well. They want to issue more fines. I mean, again, I don't know how many people do get fined in the first place because of the lack of police, but passengers now, if they've got a driving licence, they will have points off that licence for not wearing a seatbelt as a passenger. Is that a good plan?
Yeah, that's an interesting one, isn't it? Because up until now it's been a fine, this idea that, you would pay a fine. But now they're moving on to penalty points. And I do think that's more of a deterrent in a way.
I do.
Because nobody wants to put points on their licence. You might lose your licence, it affects your car insurance, all of that. And so I think that it's a stronger deterrent than a fine. And I think it's a good idea. There's no great hardship, to put on a seatbelt, whether you're in the front or the back, So I think it's a good idea just to do it.
Yeah, a lot of backseat passengers get very seriously injured, don't they, if they haven't got their belts on?
Exactly. I think people don't realise, until you're actually in a crash, quite how extreme the impact can be, and how everybody can be hurtled back. It's why actually if you've got a dog, it's a good idea to have that in a pet carrier, which can be sort of like, either in the boot or I don't mean a closed boot, I mean an open boot, or one that can be secured to the back seat. Or alternatively, you can get these sort of reins that you put on your dog.
If
the dog is in an accident, it can hurt around the car, be like a missile in a sense. So it can injure itself, but it can also injure other people.
No, both my dogs have got their own safety belts, and people laugh at me. for when I put them in their safety belts, but they shouldn't, because I'm doing it for them and me. As you said, it makes it a lot safer. Maria, it's been wonderful talking to you. Thank you very much indeed. Maria McCarthy there, motoring journalist and author. Quick break, back in a sec.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
This is Talk, and it is Petrie, and coming up at midnight, of course, it is a full hour of phone in. It's the only place that does that, so I would love you to join in. It's all about you, your voices and your opinions or your stories. And we're going to be talking about this drivers over 70 who fail eye tests face a ban in a road safety overhaul. And there's a couple of questions that I have for you. First of all, do you think 70s are the right age to be doing that? I mean, even the RAC and stuff said actually the most accidents of older drivers is sort of 80 to 85 years old. And what would you recommend to make driving safer? What I mean, for me, it would be to get most BMW drivers off the road, because they're rude mainly, and I would, I mean, middle lane hoggers have a special place in hell, and tailgaters. But there aren't enough police. I mean, these people, it just absolutely hacks me off when you're driving the speed limit, and in London, mostly, it's 20, right? You've got to do 20 miles an hour. It's frustrating, but I don't want to get done for speeding. So I'll stick at 20, and you get some arrogant person who then, you know, whoa, it's usually a bloke, I'm sorry it is, who overtakes you and is all whoa, and then overtakes you, and then you stuck right next to him at the next set of traffic lights. And I always want to turn around to them and say, do you feel better now? You haven't got any further. You're literally stuck at the same lights as me, and you've behaved like an absolute pillock. And you've made yourself, it's embarrassing, is what I want to say. But I try not to make eye contact with that type of person. It's just pathetic. Where are you going? Have you got the nuclear codes? Is that your are you that important that you've got to get somewhere really quickly with the nuclear codes? Because that's the only excuse. Unless you happen to have a woman giving birth in your car. So what is that? What is that? Where are you going that you're in such a hurry and you're so important that you've got to get there before anybody else? It's pathetic. Grow up is literally how I feel when I'm driving. And I will match the speed limit, but I don't have a single point on my licence, and I've been driving for about 120,000 years. So I never have had, oh, there's no wood in here, any points on my licence. So I know I'm not a bad driver, So I don't know how we legislate for that. I don't know how you legislate for those ego-ridden... Oh, so many swear words that I would use in this sentence if I wasn't in a studio. But you know what I think you know what I mean. You probably wouldn't share my love of swear words that I have for it, but there are special words for people like that. But what would you do? How would you make driving safer? Because actually, I think the pressure on drivers from other drivers leads to the most accidents. I genuinely do. So I want to hear from you. Do you think that 70 is about the right age? Do you think it's too young? Do you think what Maria was saying, that we should have eye tests, all of us should have eye tests every 10 years? Would that be safer, fairer? Is it about eyesight or is it about attitude? I think it's mostly about attitude, and I don't know how you legislate for pillocks like that. I just don't. Give me a call. 0344 499 1000. Calls are charged at the national rate, but we do call you back. Quick break. I'll be back to speak to Alex, 3 Lions Irons, in just a moment.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there, this is Talk, and it is Petrie here with you. Just a reminder that coming up in about 15-20 minutes time is Ryan Harris with some weird news from the United States, and also Cody Darla will be here in the studio to go through the front pages for Tuesday. But first, it is time to catch up on some sports news with Alex, 3 Lions Irons, Talk Sport producer and presenter. Hello.
Hello, how are you doing? Hello.
Hello. Yeah, I'm good, thank you. I was quite interested, actually, by the Crystal Palace story.
Yeah, so Crystal Palace, they won the Community Shield, which for anyone who either isn't in it or loses their game just becomes another irrelevant friendly with a bit of silver at the end of it. But they won the game which is held between the league winners and the FA Cup winners, although that did have a bit of controversy in itself with... even before the game, and even kicked off with the minute silence for Diogo Jota, of course, ex-Liverpool player who passed away about 5 weeks ago in that horrific car crash with his brother. It was halted after 20 seconds due to noise from the concourse at the Crystal Palace end. The manager, Arne Slot, essentially played it down to people coming into the stadium not realising it was a minute silence, chanting out their name, and they got booed. They weren't necessarily booing. You can hear fans in the audio singing Eagles, which is of course the nickname of Crystal Palace, and it sounds like there wasn't any malice intent. It was fans coming in late to the stadium due to there being fans being held up.
Oh, so it was the fans that were being booed for singing.
So it's the fans who were being told to be quiet as they were coming into the stadium, and then once that kind of started, everyone else just starts telling everyone else to be quiet. And yes, as we know, it didn't last very long, and it didn't sound great either.
No.
And it was it's a massive shame, of course, to have that cut short, and of course it's an even bigger shame to lose Diogo Jota in the way that we did. But Crystal Palace, from that game, they won the Charity Shield, or the Community Shield, whatever it's called now. Happy days for them. They've got their first real piece of silverware for this season. And as soon as they're celebrating that, they have been demoted from the Europa League and will play in the competition below the season, which is the Conference League. So that's the newer European competition. It's the third tier. So you've got Champions League, which is the top tier European competition, Europa League, which is the second, and Conference League, which I think a team called Chelsea won last season. I don't think they're relevant at all. They won that last season, and now they're going on about being champions of the world, but I have no idea what they're talking about.
This is all about competition rules, isn't it?
So this is all about competition rules. So this came after a ruling from the Court of Arbitration for Sport, who essentially said that because Lyon, Olympique Lyonnais in the French League 1, because they are playing in the Europa League and they have the same owner in John Textor, who owns a majority stake in both Lyon and in Crystal Palace, because they're owned by the same person, they can't be in the same competition, which is a bit of a weird one because you've got a lot of teams in the main European competitions who are owned by the same groups. But the reason why they were punished for it was essentially because despite there being a bit of restructuring, they missed a deadline which Palace had until the 1st of March of this year to show UEFA proof of multi-club ownership restructuring, and they missed that deadline. Because they missed that deadline, they get in trouble, whereas other clubs, including Nottingham Forest, who are now replacing them in the Europa League, who their owner also owns Olympiacos, they get into the Europa League, and there's no real problem in them doing so.
Yeah, that seems a bit. Yeah, it seems a bit technical, doesn't it? Rather than
it's all very technical, and the reason why this has taken so long is because Lyon have been in a mess themselves. They were, despite finishing in the Europa League place, they were meant to be relegated to Ligue 2, the second tier of French football, due to their finances being all over the place. And then they were initially relegated, which means they weren't going to be in the Europa League, which means Crystal Palace would have been fine. And then they've had that decision revoked. So now Lyon are still in Ligue 1 and are keeping their place in the Europa League, which is why this has now come about. And it's all been a massive mess for Palace and for Lyon and for European football as a whole. But at least we now know where Crystal Palace are in regards to their European status.
Well, they could win that, couldn't they, the Conference League, and then qualify for the Europa League next season?
Which is looking quite likely. They still have to enter the league phase via a qualifying round. They've got to play Norwegian side Fredrikstad or Midtjylland of Denmark in the Conference League playoff final later on this month. And we've seen two English teams go on to win the Conference League anyway, West Ham being the first to do it and Chelsea doing it last season. And normally the English teams do quite well in the Conference League because really it's not made for them. It's made for the smaller, not maybe smaller teams, because there are teams that have not, let's say they've not kept up with the way that the sport has grown, especially with the likes of Real Madrid and Barcelona and all the clubs in England and France and Germany who get a lot of revenue from the Champions League, and the ones that have fallen out, teams in Spain and in Holland and in Austria and other smaller nations that haven't been able to keep up. This tournament is for them. So those other bigger clubs that are still hanging around from those bigger nations being a part of the competition, I feel maybe kind of ruins it a little bit, but Palace fans aren't going to care.
Yeah, it's going to spoil it for the other teams.
Yeah, they'll essentially think that they'll go and waltz this and be in the Europa League next season anyway.
Yeah. Jack Grealish becomes a toffee.
Yeah, everybody's favourite Calves is on his way to Liverpool. So Jack Grealish, essentially, he's been out of place at Manchester City for a little while now. He joined in 2021. It seems a bit crazy that he's been there for that long. He joined 4 years ago for a whopping £100 million. He was the first £100 million player in the Premier League. And in his first season, looked to be doing quite well. Played 26 top-flight games, scored 3 goals and provided 3 assists as they edged out Liverpool by a solitary point to claim the title that season. But since then, he had a pretty good season after that as well, winning the Champions League as well as the third league title for City and the FA Cup. They did the treble in that year, and he played 50 matches in all competitions for City in that season. But since then, it's not really turned out that well for him, and he's been out of place at City for at least 2 seasons
Didn't he
now.
get lots of bookings? Did he not get lots of yellow cards?
Well, he got fouled a lot. He was the player who drew in a lot of yellow cards from players because he was always being fouled. He wasn't necessarily being injured, but it was small fouls. If he's on the ball, players knew to kind of go for him because he's a dangerous player when he's on the ball. And essentially, he's fallen out of favour with your favourite Spaniard, Pep Guardiola, and he's moving on to Everton, playing in their brand new stadium, which opens this season. I think they had a friendly which they lost on Saturday, and it looks like it could be a pretty exciting time for him. He also, of course, wants to be in the FIFA World Cup squad for next summer, happening in the USA, Canada, and in Mexico, as well as Marcus Rashford, who made a move earlier in the summer to Barcelona. Nobody really ever saw that one coming, but he's gone on loan there, and Grealish going on loan to Everton. Both players looking to revitalise their seasons, and both are pretty good clubs to do so.
Well, Grealish can't play against Man City, though, can he, while he's on loan?
He won't be able to play against City while he's on loan. It's not in his. There are some occasions where that is allowed to happen, but it won't be in his contract that he'll be able to play against City. So he will be tied for that one, but he'll be able to play against everyone else, which is what matters if you're an Everton fan.
A NASCAR driver falls out of his car.
Yeah, this one.
Idiot.
I was going to say it sounds funnier in the title than it does on the actual video itself. NASCAR rookie Connor Zilic has been ruled out of the Cup Series race at Watkins Glen International in New York after breaking his collarbone when he fell off the roof of his car on Saturday. The 19-year-old won the Mission 200 at the Glen Xfinity Series race, climbed out of his number 88 Junior Motorsports Chevrolet to celebrate. He had 1 foot on the roof and 1 foot on the ledge of the window and was posing for photographs when he lost his balance and tumbled to the ground head first.
Ouch.
He was taken off the track on a backboard and to the hospital via ambulance. Later on Saturday, Zilic took to social media and said that he did not have a head injury as feared. He was down on the ground for quite some time and not moving. So there was a lot of panic around the situation, but it looks like he's going to be fine. And I saw the headline, I went, oh, that looks quite funny. And then saw the video, I went, oh, God, that's not very funny at all. But he is confirmed as being awake and alert as he was receiving medical attention. And of course, he is a 19-year-old NASCAR driver. I mean, I can't drive because I don't have a license, but that sounds like a dream job at 19 and at 33, which is what I am now. Just driving around in a circle sounds like a lot of fun.
I broke my collarbone once
by
falling out of bed.
Really?
So.
Did you have your 1 foot on the ledge and 1 foot on the roof of your bed?
It's a lot less, sexy than
Glamorous.
falling off a car, isn't it? Really. But no, I fell out of bed when I was about 9. Broke my collarbone. But anyway, it wasn't nice. I had to be in plaster for quite some time with a pole. It wasn't. I don't.
When you said the plaster, I thought you meant that they got one with like Tweety Bird on it and like put it on your collarbone and went, there you go, you'll be fine.
No, it was full on. The Premier League kicks off on Friday.
It does. Just I said last week that it feels like the football never really went away, and it's proof of that now. The Premier League starting on Friday night as Liverpool travel down to Bournemouth for the first game of the season. And I wanted to know what you think of the Premier League season coming up. I know you're not, you're a massive fan of Pep Guardiola, but I was wondering if you had any.
But that's not because of football.
No, I know it isn't. But in regards to football itself, we have a conversation about it every Monday. Is there anything that I've said that's maybe led you to think that something was going to happen this season, or have I just been talking rubbish all summer?
No, you haven't been talking rubbish. It's just that the only prediction I can make is that I won't see any of the games.
Fair point.
That's about the only prediction. No, I mean, I'm hoping for my son's sake that Manchester United come out of the doldrums.
I don't. I know that's not for your son's sake.
And turn their fortunes around. They've signed a new player, so maybe that'll make a difference to them. Who knows? I doubt it. But no, I'm not quite as good as you at this football stuff.
I mean, I'm not great myself, but thank you for the ego boost for the meantime. The Premier League is looking pretty interesting with, Chelsea are looking pretty strong. They've brought in a lot of players over the summer. Liam Delap and João Pedro, sorry. I got there in the end. There's a João and the Pedro in there somewhere. Signing him from Brighton, those two have looked very, very promising and could essentially sort Chelsea's attacking problems out no end. So they're looking dangerous this year. Liverpool, we know they're going to come on strong, especially after winning the Premier League to a canter last season. And Arsenal have always kind of, they look semi-serious. And maybe this season with the players they brought in Victor Gyökeres from Sporting Lisbon. He's looking pretty strong as an attacking force. We could see a genuine four-horse race this season. Spurs have also been backing themselves in the transfer window, bringing in recently João Palhinha, former Bayern Munich and Fulham midfielder. So I rate him highly as a Fulham fan, and it's not fair that they get him and he doesn't come back to us where he belongs. But hey ho, well, it's looking like it's going to be a really, really strong Premier League season. The teams that have come up from the Championship, Burnley have recruited well. They've lost their goalkeeper, James Trafford, but apart from that, they're looking pretty strong. Leeds look strong as well, and Sunderland have signed 10, 11 players, one of them being Granit Xhaka, from Bayer Leverkusen, former Arsenal midfielder, to bring in a bit of Premier League experience. They're looking like they're going to be quite strong, and quite a few clubs down the bottom could be struggling. Wolves are touted to struggle this season. Brentford are as well. They've lost a lot of key players. Brian Mbeumo's gone to Manchester United. There's talk of Visser, another one of their attackers, going to Newcastle. They've lost Christian Norgard, one of their mainstays in midfield. It's looking like we could have a really interesting season at the top and the bottom of the season. Top and bottom of the table this season. I'm quite excited for once that the Premier League is coming back on. I'm always excited about the Premier League, but this one feels like it's going to be a really, really good season.
I just know the winner of the man who can best wear a roll neck is Pep Guardiola. So he wins.
He gets that every year.
He wins that every single year, especially from me. Great to see you, Alex. Thank you. Alex, Three Lines Irons, a TalkSport producer and presenter there. Quick break. Back with some weird news next.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there, this is Talk and it's Petrie here with you until 1 o'clock. And just a reminder that coming up at the top of the hour, Cody Darla will be here to go through Tuesday's front pages. But right now it's time to catch up with Ryan Harris, our US journalist and broadcaster, with some weird news. Hello there, Ryan, how are you?
I'm doing well, Petrie. Always nice to see your lovely smile.
Thank you. It's always lovely to see you too. Now, this isn't weird, but it is unusual, your first story.
Indeed. In fact, the phrase I was thinking was, it's not weird, but it is definitely unique because it's the first time a woman has donned the umpire uniform in Major League Baseball. Not the first time in professional baseball, because there have been some working in the minors for a while. And years back, there was a woman who served as an umpire in some spring training games, which are unofficial, just, warm up for the season. But Jen Powell is now officially the first female umpire in a regular season Major League Baseball game. She's been making calls on the field in the minors for about 10 years. And in an interview, she said as soon as she went to umpire school and took the field, she knew being an umpire was in her DNA. That's kind of how I felt about being in radio. So I totally understand that.
Yeah.
And of course, it makes sense that she'd take the next step. And of course, Major League Baseball did not hold back, because her first outing in Atlanta on Saturday was a doubleheader. So 2 games back to back, which is a long day. She worked first base in the first game and then had to work the second game at third base. And she was put to the test right away. She had to make a couple of close calls, one of which she deemed a runner for the home team, Atlanta Braves, safe at first. And the good news is the manager for their opponents, the Miami Marlins, didn't challenge the call. I'm sure she got it correct, though, because not only did I see it, I watched the replay a few times just to make sure myself as a baseball fan, but it's pretty rare really that these umpires get it wrong. They're pretty well trained. However, I imagine the reaction of the home crowd if she had called out their player, or the response to the Marlins manager that he would have gotten if he challenged the call. And then, of course, Powell got another test on Sunday. She was behind the plate calling balls and strikes on every pitch. Again, she's been doing it for a while, so nothing she hasn't done before. But that part of the job might be turned over to AI soon. Major League Baseball, as early as next year, might roll out its artificial intelligence strike zone umpire, known as ABS, for automatic ball strike system, which has some fans split. Some saying they're glad it will be more accurate because every umpire seems to have a different strike zone. Others say it takes away part of the human factor that helps give baseball its charm. But I suspect when Jen gets behind the plate after ABS is in place, we'll see most of her calls are pretty spot on.
I mean, the stress that she must be under as well, being a woman, in that role. Because there'll be a lot of fans that just go, well, a woman shouldn't be doing this. I can just imagine what happened if we had a female ref in the man's game here.
Well, we've had them in the National Basketball Association already. So, that, as they say, that glass ceiling is full of big cracks because of these women. But, again, they've proven they can do the job. And, as a girl dad, I always told my daughter, don't let anybody tell you there's anything you can't do.
Yeah.
And, Jen is a perfect example of that. And good on her.
Yeah, I mean, and again, the extra pressure from being a woman in that position is not going to be easy for her. So she must be twice as good in order to just achieve in that position and to not pay attention to those voices that have probably tried to push her out. Extraordinary. Good on her. Let's talk now about Seattle National Hockey League's mascot, which looks a little terrifying to me, to be fair. What is it?
Yeah, right. And, Petrie, I was thinking about that because, those mascots for sports teams are pretty frequently hideous-looking creatures. Since we're on hockey, I think of Gritty for the Philadelphia Flyers, which is just the most bizarre mascot I've ever seen. And this one is no exception. Bowie, the blue-haired mascot for the Seattle Kraken of the National Hockey League, is one I actually know because you might recall I worked in Seattle and was actually, quite to my enjoyment, credentialed by the Kraken for the first couple of seasons. So I got to go to a lot of games. Now, it's not often Bowie leaves the safety of Climate Pledge Arena there in Seattle, right near the Space Needle. But this time he was at Katmai National Park in Alaska, as you can see there, doing a little fly fishing with Kraken player John Hayden as part of a promotional video for youth hockey when they had an unexpected visitor there, that rather large grizzly bear. And clearly the bear didn't like the looks of Bowie because he came charging toward the mascot. They had a couple of guides with them, and you can see one of them takes the fishing poles right away, and they guide them quickly back to the riverbank, and eventually the big bear finally goes in the other direction. But they really took a chance making that video right now, because this is when the bears are active and it's their territory. So, you're on their turf when you go to a place like that. And this particular bear let them know it. Of course, the bear was not a planned part of the video production, but in the end, again, as you can see, it turned into some pretty cool video.
Yeah, I mean, you're never going to ignore having that video for free, are you? That is amazing, an unpaid extra there. Brilliant footage, absolutely brilliant. This is weird. The Milwaukee Brewers manager and his strange eating habits.
Oh yeah, that's bizarre. Now, I don't know about you, Petrie. I don't recall seeing any snacks lying around when we were together in the office there, but I'm one who likes to keep snacks handy while I'm working, mostly because I don't like to take a lunch break. So I understand baseball manager Pat Murphy of the Milwaukee Brewers, who is stuck on the field or in the dugout for at least 3 or 4 hours on game day. However, unlike Murphy, I don't normally keep snacks in my pocket. Murphy, though, has a different habit. It was discovered recently during this post-game interview when he pulled a pancake out of his pocket, took a bite of it, and then shared some of it with the reporter. A pancake, mind you, in his pocket. So, of course, the question...
furry and dirty and...
I would think there would be some pocket lint on that pancake. No maple syrup, however. I'm sure he kept it dry. But of course, then the reporter switched the line of questioning to Murphy's snacking routine. So he told him he's been doing that for years. Used to be mostly bagels, but it has also been waffles, pancakes, and pizza. And then, of course, he was asked how he kept from staining his uniform, and Murphy said, and this is a quote, "If it's cold pizza, you fold it up like a sandwich. You know what I mean? You can eat it during the game. And then when I wear a hoodie, because it does get cold there in Milwaukee during part of the season," he says, "I have a pocket right there, and that's full of crumbs." Now, the team also has not lost a game since this was revealed. They are now sitting on the best record in baseball and a 9-game winning streak. So, of course, the Brewers jumped on the hype right away. And for the rest of the season, they will be selling the Ball 4 Pocket Pack, including 4 what they call pocket pancakes and a choice of maple syrup or strawberry compote dipping sauce for $4.99, or the double chicken and pancakes pocket pack for $7.99, which includes 2 pancakes stuffed with chicken tender and topped with chopped bacon and a maple syrup drizzle. Now, having been to many games at several different major league ballparks, I can also say, Petrie, these are some of the least expensive snacks I've ever seen at the ballpark. Everything is so expensive. You pay $15 for a beer. I mean, it's wild how much they charge for the stuff when you go there. So just those snacks alone might offset the cost and make a trip to Milwaukee affordable for me.
But pocket pancakes, no. I'm not sure that's going to catch on. And pocket pizza, I don't care how carefully you fold that beast, there's still going to be drippage. It's not good. No. Mind you, this is pretty revolting as well. A huge python. Pythons are not native, right, to America?
Oh, to the United States? Yeah. No, absolutely right. Not.
A 20-foot python.
Yeah, well, Petrie, here in California, they call us car crazy California for a reason. We all have cars, and private parking for apartments here in the Golden State comes with plenty of perils for that reason, some big, some small, but usually it's an issue like someone parking in your reserved space, so you come home from work and then have no place to park, or they're too close to the line and you can't get out of your car. But for one woman, finding a 20-foot python just chilling out on top of the rubbish dumpster was a little unnerving. Now, she spoke to my friends over at KTLA TV and said that at first she thought it was a toy, but then thought to herself, now, why would someone leave a toy like that there? Then she thought it might have been a taxidermy snake. Yeah, but it started moving, which, of course, sent her running. Now, this very kind woman, I have to say, also noticed that the snake did not appear well, had some swelling around its mouth.
Tell? Oh, right.
It had the swelling around the mouth, so it had some kind of infection going on there. And so at first she called animal control, couldn't reach them. And I'll tell you, that doesn't surprise me, because one time my daughter and I spotted an Akita, pretty nice looking dog running around on Olympic Boulevard in LA, which is like 10 lanes across. And so we tried to save this dog and get it over to the shelter and couldn't get hold of anybody. And then eventually, thankfully, did and got the dog saved. But that's not the story. Then she called police, who told her they couldn't help her because that's just not something they do. So 2 fails for 2 City of LA departments. But eventually, and this is the best part, she managed to reach a reptile rescue organization who came and took the big snake very easily and promised that she would be well taken care of.
Size of that snake. Ugh. Thank you. Brilliant stories. Thank you very much indeed.
My message to people smugglers is this. I think smashing the gangs is a deterrent. Smash the gangs. Smash the people smuggling gangs.
People smuggling puns.
He couldn't even smash an avocado for a piece of toast.
Or the people... What would the people...
I think smashing the gangs is a deterrent. Well, it might be if you smashed any, if you found any.
The people smash... Those, the smash...
And he hasn't smashed anything. I mean, literally all he does is he smashes records every sort of couple of weeks, where more and more people come in a period of 24 hours.
Smash the gangs that are running this vile trade.
You're never going to smash the gangs. That's something that basically is impossible. The gangs are like the Hydra. You cut the head off and another 2 grow.
So I did write to ministers and say that I wasn't convinced that smashing the gangs was the right sort of way of thinking about things.
We will smash the gangs that undermine our security.
Keir Starmer has just tweeted 15 minutes ago. He says, "I know you're angry about immigration. I get it. We will smash the people smuggling gangs at source." Maybe I'll just read it all in his accent, shall I?
There is no return to freedom of movement. We have left the EU. I do not accept that prevents us working with other police units here, with prosecutors here, to smash the gangs.
Yeah. Well, sure, the smuggling gangs are absolutely quaking in their boots now. Keir Starmer is on their case. Solving this issue, smashing the gangs, is that the impossible dream, Tom?
It really seems beyond him at the minute, I have to say.
We're going to get the evil people smugglers and we're going to smash them and we're going to put them in jail. That will solve the migrant crisis. Prime Minister Keir Starmer's promise to smash the gangs has resulted in just 5 convictions.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there, this is Talk and it is Petrie, and with me, I'm thrilled and delighted to say, is Cody Darla, who's a comedy writer and podcaster, and you'll find him also on TikTok as Mr. Cody Darla.
Yes, hello.
Which is my favourite place to find him. So, good to see you.
Nice to see you as well.
And you are looking tanned and refreshed.
Yes,
and
it's having to be, it's having to film TikToks in the scorching heat. Yeah. This heat wave better stop soon because
Who is it that films you though when you're doing some of them?
I film them all myself.
Oh, do you?
Yeah. It's intricate camera angles. I think you're referring to.
Very clever.
Yeah. No, it's I'm a one man machine. I've lost all my friends.
And you have to sneak around in corners where people can't see you doing it. Presumably.
It's really quite embarrassing. Yeah, I think But it takes me, actually videos take me ages because I will have to wait till absolutely everyone in sight has left the vicinity. I get so mortified doing it, and then I do it quickly, and then half of the time someone comes around the corner and I have to stop. It's humiliating. I'm almost a 30-year-old man doing little TikTok skits outside in the day when people have normal jobs. So
and some of the skits you do look a little bit out
A little bit manic, yeah. So I do one where I'm Trump's advisor, and that often involves screaming a lot. And some people have said, maybe there are people that pass me that think of it, maybe am his real advisor, which would make sense. I mean,
that would really make sense.
Yeah, in terms of being so irate. But yeah, basically, Petrie, it's my job's humiliating. It's absolutely humiliating.
Well, I mean, this isn't. This is a bit embarrassing too.
No, this is respectable. This is respectable. You've got cameras mounted to the walls. I'm walking around with one.
True. That is true. But the thing is that I can't do real people. I can do this.
Yeah.
But actually speaking in front of actual people,
you've got absolutely no personality.
Can't do it. Yeah, can't do it. Can't do it.
That's a shame.
Yeah, I know, because there's lots of money to be made. All of my friends are making huge amounts of money on the talking circuit.
Oh, so you can't go on other shows? That freaks you out?
I could go on another radio or TV show, but actual real people in an audience.
Oh, I see.
Can't do that.
Oh, I see. Yeah, like a podcast talk or something.
I can't. So it's just not. I get too embarrassed. Too
really?
Shy. Yeah.
What, when you see people's eyes on you?
Yeah, can't bear it.
Interesting.
Yeah. No, it's not. It's not a good trait because, like I said, friends of mine are literally raking it in.
Hoovering it up.
They're going on boats. Are they cruises?
Oh yes, the cruise talking circuit I hear is massive.
Oh my god.
The cruise comedy circuit is also, I think, okay.
Yeah,
but
there's friend of mine. She's going on a week's cruise around the Amalfi Coast, which is beautiful, right?
Oh my
god. Being paid, I think it's $5,000.
Oh my god. 2
speaking engagements for the whole week of 45 minutes each.
Yes, and she just gets to enjoy the cruise.
Yeah.
See, you hate people and holidays though, so that would be a nightmare.
That is true. That would be the worst combination for me.
So you shouldn't be too jealous.
But it's the money. I'm going for 45 minutes.
That is a lot.
I know.
That is a lot of money. What's she talking about?
Herself.
Blimey.
I know.
I could do that.
Yeah.
We could all do that.
We could all do that.
Is she
I could do it if somebody was interviewing me in front of people, but I couldn't do the whole front-facing.
It's kind of a bit like stand-up. So she's going out there on her own.
Pair up. You can interview me.
Yes, we could. Yeah. Let's get on the cruise circuit.
Let's do it.
Yeah, I'd happily go to Amalfi.
Let's do it. Yes,
get more. Yeah, then at least I've got a good excuse for being brown, not just walking around outside filming bloody TikToks.
Listen, before we get to the papers, this story today: drivers over 70 who fail eye tests face a ban in a road safety overhaul. It doesn't seem like a terrible idea. I mean, if you can't see, you can't see, right? So you shouldn't be driving. But is this going to infringe on people's behaviour? A lot of older people might live in the countryside. There's a bus once a month. What are they going to do?
So people over 70, if they fail their eye test, they can still drive currently. I mean, there's the overhaul now, so previously they've just been able to drive.
But they used to self-report.
Right.
So they used to, maybe not have their eyes tested and say, no, I'm fine.
Yeah, I'm sure that worked well, self-reporting.
Yeah, but I think 70 is a bit young.
I guess so. I guess the motivation though is safety, isn't it? If you can't see properly, you're more likely to kill you. I can drive, but I don't drive. If you can't see and you're gonna go and kill someone or yourself, then I think
but why
at that point fairness doesn't
70. I mean, my eyesight was perfect until I hit mid-40s.
Yeah.
And now I have to wear glasses.
Yeah, that's true. Why can't you just get an eye test?
Every 10 years, everybody should have their eyes tested, shouldn't they?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a weird one. I guess if you can't see, don't drive, is what I'd say.
That's probably really good advice.
Yeah, I think this shouldn't be controversial. If you can't see, don't get in a car.
Don't drive. Because you're checked when you first do your driving test, aren't you? When they say, can you read that number plate?
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, that is it, yeah.
That is your eyesight test.
Yeah, that's not sufficient. I mean, they're not opticians, are they? They can't double up.
No, probably not. No. But I look weird without glasses now. I can't bear it.
Yeah, you get used to it though, don't you? Yeah. I meant to wear glasses, but they kept glaring in the TikTok screen. So I've taken them off now and I just get headaches all the time.
And you just can't see.
I'm just suffering from my art.
I reached the point where my arms weren't quite long enough to read the menu, and then it was like, got to get glasses.
All you need to get... So you see, if you were on the speaking circuit, you could afford to get someone to read the menu to you. That's where you've gone wrong.
That's it. Or to just hold it at the menu a little bit further.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they can stand further away.
It'd be so good, wouldn't it? That's what we need to do. Right, let's have a look at the Seattle Times. Catching up with national trends, Seattle sees fewer homicides. That's got to be a good thing.
Yeah, apparently it rose in 2023 and 2024, and a load of other places declined, and now it's gone down. So maybe all of the people...
all of the serial killers in America.
All of the serial killers who they left the other places where the crime's gone down and they went to Seattle, and now they've maybe left.
And now they've maybe they got bored.
Yes.
I don't know. It's interesting though, isn't it? Because Donald Trump is just taking over DC at the moment with the military and taking over the police. On the basis, he says, that the crime is appalling there, but the crime has gone down 30% in Washington DC.
Really? Even with him back there in office?
Well, I mean, what he's doing in the White House might have pushed the crime stats up a bit.
Maybe that's why he's bringing them in.
Where the
he's getting
numbers
confused.
are coming. Yeah.
He is the new crime.
He is the new crime wave.
Yeah.
That's such a good point.
There it is. Problem solved. I'm so happy to be here.
I hadn't thought of that. That is genius. Trump and Putin may get a cold reception in Alaska. There is some concern in the US at the moment that Donald Trump might be about to give Alaska to Putin.
The actual state of Alaska?
Yeah.
As part of... Is this
I don't know. There's some worry about if he's going to hand over Alaska, which is American.
But doesn't he... Yeah, because he's talking about land swapping, isn't he, in relation to ending the Ukraine war?
How can they have a conversation without Zelensky in the room?
Yes. I mean, it's outrageous. But again, it's all part of the playbook, isn't it?
It would be like you and your girlfriend deciding on my house.
Yes, yeah. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, Europe's been locked out. Zelensky's not been invited, and then these two lunatics sort of getting together.
And we know that for some reason Donald Trump is in awe of Putin.
Yeah.
He's absolutely got a boy crush.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's the perfect president, isn't he? You don't have to... You do away with term limits, do away with elections, basically, do away with all of your opponents, and you just basically get to sit in the presidential palace for as long as you like.
Dictatorship.
Yeah, it's called an election, actually, Petrie. I think you'll find that Russia has elections.
Oh, right,
it's just everyone else who runs agast Putin is killed. Sorry, falls out windows.
Falls out off balconies. They all fall off balconies.
They really do.
But I just don't... Some swapping of territories. Swapping what?
Yeah, it's exactly. What does
Ukraine have to swap?
Exactly.
What does Russia
have to swap? Yeah.
Crimea? No.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's not even theirs anyway.
Exactly. I mean, I think it's all very... I mean, it's classic Trump in the sense that you have no idea what he's talking about at any point. I don't think everyone's guessing all of the time. There's this may be actually jumping ahead to some of the other front pages, but I think Trump's main focus at the moment in terms of talking about land swapping is he says that he's trying to fight hard for Ukraine to gain oceanfront properties because he says they are most valuable. I think he's sort of fundamentally misunderstanding what Ukraine want. They want their sovereign land back. They're not bothered about the value of the properties on it.
Condos.
And again, probably about 80% of it's been blasted down anyway because of Russian missile strikes. So, yeah, I mean, it's again, this is a classic case of Trump being a moron. This is what happens when a moron is in the White House. You get this kind of behaviour.
It is quite something, isn't it? And all of this, because he's in the Epstein files.
Yeah, he's also in the Epstein files. Yeah, and it's also interesting that Putin is that it's happening in Alaska because basically Putin isn't allowed anywhere else because he'd be arrested and tried for war crimes.
Yes.
So it has to be in Alaska because America are the only... I don't know about the only country, but America don't recognise the European... the International Court.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I just know that this is going to be another busted flush, and we all know it's going to fail, and it's really tragic because this war has got to stop, but it is not going to stop. But and also Donald Trump was kind of confused by the fact that if Zelensky were to cede some land, he would have to go through his Congress to do that, because he doesn't own the land, it belongs to the country. And Donald Trump seemed to think that was a bit weird, having to ask
What do
permission.
you mean asking Congress?
What do you mean? What's that
Yeah, you don't have to
about?
bother doing that.
Yeah.
I think there's the big worry is, over the last few months, Trump has become slightly more anti-Putin, and there's some people saying that that's because of Melania whispering in his ear. But I think the big worry is Trump goes to meet Putin on Friday.
And falls back in love with him.
They come up with a deal that's completely, utterly unacceptable to Zelensky and the rest of Europe. And then I don't know where that...
Well,
that
then Trump will blame Zelensky for not taking the deal.
And then we're back to square one.
Yeah.
Nothing's resolved, but then the enemy is
Putin
flipped.
gets more time.
Yes, of course. I mean, this is exactly what he wants, isn't it? I mean, he wants to avoid American sanctions. So the best thing for Putin to come out of this summit is for him to look like the good guy. It's got nothing to do with ceding territory or ending the war at all. Putin is now just trying to pull the strings and make it look like Zelensky is going to oppose peace, and therefore Trump won't impose sanctions on Russia. And I think...
Even though Putin also waited until the exact day that those sanctions were going, because Trump brought them forward from 90 days to 11 days, I think. But he waited until that point, and then there was this meeting suggested. So he's still bombing, and he's really going for it at the moment, while they sort of, fanny about with this meeting and how long that's going to take. And then, like you said, they're going to come back with something that is entirely unacceptable to Ukraine. And Ukraine will look like... Trump will go, well, you're the bad guys. You don't hold any cards.
You could stop the war.
You could have stopped the war. All you had to do was give up sovereign territory, about 20% of your country, and resign, and put in a Putin crony as the head of Ukraine, which is what Putin is also demanding.
Yes. I mean, it's crazy to think... I mean, Trump, during his election campaign, said he could get this conflict ended in 24 hours.
Well, because he thought he was close buddies with...
Yeah, with Putin. Well, I mean, you could get it done in 24 hours if you decide to throw kind of precedent and international law out the window. You just say, you know what, actually, this
Ukraine.
Exactly, this country
War's
that's
over.
illegally invaded another country, just keep all the land.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's kind of a man a president who's presented himself as this kind of super agent, peacemaking agent. It's like he's just being battered from pillar to post in terms of
begging for a Nobel Peace Prize.
And we could go around in circles. He'll think Putin is
and
great,
more
and then
people will die
Zelensky's a bad
because of
guy.
it. Yeah.
Exactly. Again, this is what happens when you have a moron in the White House.
It's really heartbreaking, and poor Zelensky must be just looking at this playing out again.
It's
this
just
whole
really,
thing where he's not in the room again.
It's just really hard to see what the resolution will be.
They always say as well, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu.
Yes, very good. I've not heard that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's absolutely true in this case, isn't it? Ukraine aren't at the table, but they are the only item on the menu.
Definitely the only item on the menu. I think it's absolutely heartbreaking. It really is. And those Ukrainians who fought so hard. It just beggars belief, to be honest with you. But at least Donald Trump's going to put nukes on the roof of the White House.
Yes, is that why he was up there the other day?
Apparently.
Yeah, that'll really cool things down.
Yeah. He can go and play with his nukes on the roof. Oh, dear Lord. It's terrifying, isn't it? Right, before we head on to the British papers, let's take a very quick break. And Cody and I'll be back in just a moment.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there, this is Talk and it is Petrie, and with me Cody Dahl, a comedy writer and podcaster. Cody, we're going to go to the Metro. 11 attacks a day on A&E nurses. Punched, kicked and spat at, threatened with a gun and acid as we try to care for patients.
Yeah, it's pretty shocking. I mean, it's a consequence of, I think, according to this article, a kind of rising waiting times and people getting frustrated, by basically having to sit in waiting rooms for hours and hours on end. And then on top of that, you have the people who maybe end up in A&E waiting rooms who are either drunk or sort of violent anyway, mentally unwell. And it's just, reaching a kind of, a crescendo. And it's being taken out on A&E nurses, across the country. The statistic of it being, according to the figures, I think it's almost doubled. It's now 11. I mean,
it just seems to be a really dumb thing to do. It's like when people attack paramedics or ambulance drivers or police. It's like, well, these are the people that are genuinely there to help you.
Of course,
But I suppose there is a mental health crisis.
There's a mental health crisis, and also if you are in a hospital, you're not well, so your kind of fuse is short. So that's not to excuse it at all in any way. But I mean, I think there's also something in not knowing how long you're waiting that makes people angrier. That is true. I mean, I do on tubes. It's always better if they say, "Look, we're only stopping for a minute," as opposed to no announcement. Well, I read that on the tube, when it tells you how long it's going to take, a train's going to come in a minute or 2 minutes. That was TfL. They didn't used to have that, and then basically they received complaints about how long people were waiting for tubes, and TfL made no improvements in terms of the regularity of trains, but they just put how long it would take, and that cooled people down, because if you get told you have to wait for 2 minutes. You can accept that. If you get told you have to wait for 7 minutes, this is to everyone outside of London. This is going to feel really London centric. Where it's like, if you've got to wait 7 minutes for a tube, it's terrible. But it's that's why they did it. So if you do, they're in psychology. If you do know how long you have to wait, you can kind of cool down. But I imagine in a waiting room, in any waiting room, you're ill, you're injured.
Yeah.
No, you don't know how long it's going to be.
You don't know if somebody comes in after you is more injured and therefore needs to leapfrog you, and that seems to be unfair.
That's the kind of stereotype, isn't it? You're sat in a waiting room for hours and then you see someone come in and immediately see a doctor. But I mean, it's a terrible story in a way. There's stories of nurses being kind of traumatised, being pushed against walls and punched and having to take time off.
It's awful.
Yes, it's dreadful. I mean, I don't know. I guess the resolution is lower waiting lists. I don't know. I don't know what. I don't know what you can do.
I don't know what you can do, because, like you said, it's not like waiting at the food counter, is it, with your ticket? Because you don't know if somebody else is going to be more urgent than you. I mean, there are many problems with this that have to be solved, and that is mental health crisis in this country combined with drug and alcohol abuse. And I can imagine that these are people perhaps in the waiting rooms are probably not, old ladies or families with a kid with a broken arm. I imagine that it is probably people who are in a very desperate situation, which doesn't help the nurses, of course.
It's true. Although there is a quote here that says, from a nurse, that says, even patients you would expect to be placid are becoming irate because of how long they have to wait.
Yeah, well, just before we turn over the Metro, I don't know why this is news. Jen, Brad split was personal. It was also decades ago. Get over it.
It was decades ago.
Why is she still banging on about that?
I don't know.
Why is she standing near a hose?
Yeah, there's quite a glossy picture of Jennifer Aniston stood next to what is that? A Chevy, and a
hose.
And a hose.
An air conditioning hose. It looks like.
Yeah, I mean, she looks good. but
of course she
it's
looks
a strange, it's a strange
beautiful.
picture.
But why still going on about Brad Pitt? No one cares. Get over it.
Yeah, it's embarrassing.
Embarrassing now. Stop it. The FT. This is interesting. The Al Jazeera, the tragedy, the reporters who were killed by Israel, and there were 5 of them staying in a tent that was there for the press, and they were directly targeted. So all 5 were killed: a cameraman, producer, I think another producer, and the reporter. And the Israelis are saying that he was the head of some Hamas group to justify killing 5 members of the press. I mean, having been a war reporter, you tend to think that you wear press across you because that is supposed to be a sign to say, don't shoot me.
Yeah.
You have special magical cloud around you to protect you. And the idea that the press is being targeted, and it is being targeted, not just these men, but other members of the press being killed. And that they actually always have been targeted because, of course, press are a danger to war.
Yes, well, I mean, in the context of Gaza, the press aren't allowed in, are they? So I think the murdering of these 5 journalists takes the count incredibly low in terms of the journalists left alive in Gaza to report on what's happening. So yeah, I mean, Israel, yes, it's an assassination, and I mean, this kind of nonsense that this person is head of Hamas. That I don't think Israel has provided any evidence whatsoever that that's the case.
Yeah, I mean, immediately it made me think. I'd just come out of a church that was being used as a hospital in northern Bosnia. It was pretty grim, and one of the interpreters that was with us ran over to me and he said, "You need to get into the tanker. We need to get you back to Vitez as quickly as possible." And I was like, "Oh God, what's happened?" A member of my family had an accident or something. And it was only when I was back in Vitez that they told me that the Serbs on the radio were putting out that I was a Serbian spy. Yeah. So I had to leave Bosnia for a couple of months.
Wow.
So
it's an old playbook.
It's an old playbook, actually. And they were saying, if you see this woman, she's a spy, you've got to arrest her. And so I was very quickly moved out of the country. So when I first heard them saying, "Oh, he's Hamas," I thought, like I was a Serbian spy.
Yeah, well, it is nonsense. I mean, I think people are starting to come around to the idea that whatever comes out of Netanyahu's mouth is nonsense. It's what I find quite sad, I mean, beyond the tragedy of the story, is that it's only the Financial Times and the Guardian that have even bothered to mention this. All of the other sort of nonsense newspapers have just chosen to focus on things that we'll get on to. But, that you can start to see... There was a clip of Netanyahu a couple of days ago saying that Israel are losing the propaganda war when it comes to Gaza because of the algorithm.
Is that why?
Yeah, that's right. It's nothing to do with the genocide. And you have to look at the front pages of British newspapers to realise that I think actually when it comes to the narratives around Israel, I think they've got clearly some supporters or clearly people who are kind of turning a blind eye to these kind of crimes against humanity.
I mean, these people are so flipping brave. And they go. I mean, okay, a lot of people listening would say, well, it's Al Jazeera, they're going to have a view, and all press has its view to some degree. But if it wasn't for press going into war zones, we would never ever know what's going on.
Yeah, exactly.
And these people genuinely believe that what they're doing is the right thing to get that information out, because press is a danger to war, because people, if they're scrutinised, they behave in a very different way.
Of course,
and if you're being watched by cameras and press, which is why they're not allowed in, you can get away with genocide.
Exactly, and I think it's very clear what's happening in Gaza.
It's really sad. I just feel really personally heartbroken for any member of the press just being out there and being treated like that is absolutely disgusting. The Daily Star, I think, is next. Amber Health Alert. What do these health alerts mean? I don't know what they mean anymore. Parents urged to keep kids indoors during the summer holidays. Brilliant idea. Amid a 35 degrees Celsius heat wave. Wasn't it supposed to be really, really hot today? And it wasn't.
It was quite hot. It was cloudy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't. Look who's stuck in. Parents being told to keep their kids indoors.
think, the Star is just saying it's because it's the school holidays, isn't it? That parents are going to be peeved that they've got to spend time with their kids.
Anyway, and now they've got to be in. You can't even kick them out into the garden.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's dangerous. Exactly.
Yeah. Boffins are saying an amber health alert. I'm not into all these different alerts and things. I'm never quite sure what they actually mean. The Sun. The Sun newspaper, that is, not the Sun outside, keeping children indoors. Another wedding? What? Brooklyn and Nick renew their vow. They only got married about a minute ago. Why are they renewing their vows already?
Yeah. Again, this is the story that the world really needs right now. David Beckham and Victoria Beckham's son apparently didn't invite them to their wedding.
But they were at the actual wedding. Why are they renewing their vows already? What is this, just showing off?
Yeah, this is... I can't even bear to really talk about it. Apparently they have a grudge. But yeah, again, just to go back to, a day where we're talking about Trump and Putin meeting to end a European war and more atrocities happening in Gaza. The Sun chooses to run with this story. A real
To
voice
have
for
and
people.
to hold a grudge. I mean, she looks lovely, but they've just got married. Why are they getting married again? It's just that generation, it's probably your generation, sorry, just that showing off, wanting another TikTok moment, wanting to be at the centre of attention again.
They're just rich people, aren't they?
Now you're married, just bore off.
Yeah.
Nobody cares, nobody's interested anymore, and that's why they have to have another wedding.
Of course.
Because they want the attention.
And they've
Feel
got nothing better
special.
to do.
And like you
Exactly.
said, they're rich.
And they're rich.
And Daddy paid for that one, I think, as well.
Well, maybe not if you didn't get an invite to the wedding, or maybe that's why there's the
her
grudge.
daddy is the rich one.
Oh, I see. Yes, of course.
Beckham's
Beckham's a pauper.
He's
Good
a
God.
povo
Okay.
compared to what's her name's dad.
I actually have no idea who she is, and I have no interest in finding out.
I'm so surprised. Let's take a break while we examine that moment. Cody and I'll be back in just a few moments. Don't go anywhere.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Sorry, he wasn't swearing or anything. Right, it's Petrie here, and with me Cody Darla, who's a comedy writer and podcaster and interrupter.
Sorry,
that's
apologies.
All right. That's okay. It's fine. It's fine. I've had people say worse things that I've had to literally apologise for.
I was asking a logistical question.
You were. Yeah, you were. The Daily Express is our next paper, and they've gone with the PM's scandalous failure that sees Channel Crossing's landmark hit a record in 401 days. 50,000 migrant boat arrivals under Labour. Sir Keir Starmer was blasted last night after Channel migrant arrivals under Labour surged past 50,000 in record time. A total of 400 were found crossing in small boats yesterday, meaning the 50,000 mark was breached 401 days after the PM entered number 10. So that's over a year, but nonetheless, Shadow Justice Secretary Robert Jenrick declared the situation in the Channel is nothing short of scandalous. I mean, there is a limit, and I think we're reaching it to the public acceptance of these numbers when it is quite clear that many of them are not in desperate need of sanctuary. And I think that's the issue here, is that we're kind, but we're not mugs.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's almost like this is a complicated issue with no simple answers. So, you know, people like Jenrick and Farage,
they always say it's easy.
Peddling that it's easy. I mean, you know, also a very simple history of migration shows that it's always and often the men that go first, and then they can get employment and bring their families across. I mean, I think no one has an answer to this.
No.
And the scandal on top of a scandal is that there are people out there who are peddling fear and stoking anger. Looking at Reform UK, you know, we've got protests, if you can call them that, over the weekend. You know, people outside asylum hotels. There's a bubbling violence in British society over this issue, yet no focus really on how you can actually stop it.
Yeah.
And it is a problem, you know, that the right trying to paint the left as people that just want more of this. No one wants more of this, because ultimately these 50,000 people risk their lives crossing the channel. And within, I don't know, within that figure, the number of people who have lost their lives, if you add that to the 50,000 figure, the point is this is a highly complicated geopolitical issue that lots of other European countries also face. The resolution of which isn't just making the public
hate them.
It's not that is inhumane. You can't dehumanise these people. Also, you know,
and it's actually not. I say the government and the systems that the government has in place, right or wrong, have failed everybody. They're failing the migrants. They're failing us.
Exactly.
And I don't. So the migrants chancing their arm, if they're not genuine seekers of refugee or asylum, but are financial migrants instead, of course they're going to try it. You know, it's and if they succeed, well, that's shame on the British government.
Yes, I mean, you know, there are countless networks exploiting these people anyway. I mean, the most public one recently has been like Deliveroo and you know, takeaway delivery drivers. I mean, that on top of, you know, the drug industry and things like that. These are not people who are entering Britain and then enjoying a really lavish lifestyle, you know, paid for by the taxpayer. I mean, Nigel Farage constantly bangs on about the £9 they get a week, as if that's anything. And he, you know, Reform UK's policy is that they'll just shut down all migrant hotels. Well, what are you going to do with the 50,000 people then? Because there's no way they're going to stop the boats coming across. Yeah, I mean, you know, bloody hell, I'm a comedian. I don't know the answer to this, but the point is, clearly, we've had two governments now. The Conservatives failed to control this entirely. Keir Starmer and Labour have come in with a plan that clearly isn't working. So there's no simple solution. It's a terrible problem with no solution.
Yeah, I agree. It doesn't appear that there is any real solution to it.
Beyond this being a symptom of a destabilising world, you know?
Yeah, I mean, look, there are a lot of issues across the world at the moment, and those issues are not getting better, and they are destined to get worse. And the worse they get, the more people migrate and the more people move.
Exactly, yeah. And let's not forget, this is a government that's cut the foreign aid budget as well, which is, you know, used to control forces that expel people from countries.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It doesn't show any signs of getting
America
better.
stopping their foreign aid budget as well means there'll be more refugees and more asylum claims. Biddy Baxter, you're too young. You've probably never heard of her.
Afraid not, no. Afraid not.
These children.
But I do know Blue Peter. Yeah, I watched Blue Peter.
So Biddy Baxter, she has died at the age of 92, and anybody, I mean, I was looking to be a television presenter when I was very young, and I thought, Blue Peter, here I come, that's it. And it would have been Biddy Baxter that I had to go and talk to. I never got that close, but I got close enough.
Instead, you were seeking refuge in a Bosnian church, being fired at by some Serbs.
That was a few years later, and I'm actually quite glad. But I do still have a Blue Peter badge, and I got that for sending in a picture of a chicken.
That you drew?
Mm-hmm.
You drew a chicken?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Why is that badge deserving?
It was clearly a very good chicken. and I got a Blue Peter badge for it.
The best drawn chicken?
Probably not.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, so Biddy Baxter has died at age 92. She was very significant in the world of broadcasting and BBC. She was one of the first executive producers. It was a woman. And she created Blue Peter. So there you go. The Daily Mail. A&E waits fuel 4,000 attacks on NHS staff a year. We've talked about that. It's 2 weddings and a feud inside Nicola and Brooklyn's secret second... Well, it's not secret, is it?
It's not a second marriage either, really. They're in... Yeah. It's not secret if it's on every front page.
Yeah, and they've clearly posed for Vogue or something. I mean, how is that secret? And the other story is the future of fat jabs. Special report, shouldn't they be called thin jabs? Special report on how new injections, patches and pills could help you lose a quarter of your weight. Good.
Yeah.
I mean, you take an aspirin if you've got a headache. Why not take something if you're...
Yes, and I think there's sort of... don't quote me on this, but I think there's more research coming out saying it reduces heart disease and things like that.
And dementia.
And dementia, even if you're not overweight necessarily.
There's new research coming out all the time. And there are now suggestions that you should be able to go to a pharmacy and buy it rather than have to go through a GP.
Oh, really?
They really think it's that significant a change. The Time, that's all that's on the front of there, isn't it? Yeah, the Times, how to argue and not get divorced.
Yeah. I mean, some people might want to get divorced, you know.
Yeah, they might want to. Why not? Trump, I will try to get Ukraine some land back. There's a picture of Donald Trump there pointing like he likes to do, and behind him is the biggest creep in politics, next to Steve Miller. And that is Pete Hegseth.
Yeah, sorry, I was just about to say, you're going to have to say who it is because people, all sorts of names going through people's minds. There's quite a lot to choose from.
Yeah, true. Pete Hegseth cannot stand the little worm. What a greasy...
He's very worm-like in this picture, I must admit.
Yeah,
his hair's very slick, his face is very shiny.
He's advocating for women to lose the vote in America, so he's not my favourite person. And... keen to cut a cancer risk, try turning veggie. You look like a veggie.
I was a veggie. I'm a lapsed veggie.
Are you a lapsed veggie?
Yes, I'm a lapsed veggie. So this story is quite interesting because it was, I mean, it was the research group were the Seventh-day Adventist Church in North America. So
I'm not sure I would take anything they had to say.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, so apparently the Seventh-day Adventists eat normally a plant-based diet, but they found if they had reduced colon and stomach-related cancers, and then
sure
vegans.
That wasn't God that did that.
Yes, well, exactly. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Have we taken into account the effect of prayer on this group?
I bet they haven't.
I bet they haven't, and I bet it wouldn't make any difference. but yeah, about vegans as well, apparently they found that there was a reduction in some cancers, and they said that meat eaters are more likely to smoke and drink, which I think seems like a funner time.
That's a bit of a stretch, isn't
it? Maybe. Although I thought the first thing I thought about that is we do pair a lot of wine with meat.
That's true.
If you just pick up a bottle of wine in the supermarket, it's like best served with beef or with lamb.
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess there is a kind of, it's just so delicious, isn't it? All that meaty, fatty.
So what was it that took you back to meat? Was it bacon?
Oh, do you know, actually, so I tried veg. I was veggie for 2 or 3 years, and then I went vegan for 5 weeks, and which I understand is not going vegan. But when I was vegan, what I craved, not necessarily meat, I craved grease. I just wanted something greasy.
Right.
There's so little grease in the vegan diet.
Yeah.
And vegetarian, I think it was like burgers, like a really greasy burger, and like pepperoni.
See, what I don't understand about vegans or even vegetarians is eating fake meat.
Yeah.
Either you're not into. Why have a fake sausage?
Well,
or
I think
fake bacon.
It's because, like, when I went vegetarian, I love meat. I loved it, love it. So I find it delicious. But it's like I think it's recognising that there's a real environmental and ethical cost to eating meat. Like, you know.
But there is to being a vegan or a vegetarian, unless you eat local food, locally produced.
Yeah, this is true.
It's seasonally.
Yes.
If you eat anything, if you eat nuts, that's environmentally disastrous. It's worse than being
definitely there's an environmental footprint of being a vegan. Yeah,
totally.
but I
bigger
guess
than most meat eaters.
Yeah. Is that
so
true?
You can feel better for that.
Okay, yeah. I'm glad I'm slaughtering
You're now
hundreds of cows a year.
environmentally more sufficient and sustainable than a vegan who,
just applies
eats avocados.
Yeah. Well, avocados are bad, aren't they? Yeah.
Nuts, any of those weird tofu stuff.
But they're not killing animals, and I think that's the
But
crucial.
they are.
By accident.
But they are by killing the rainforest where people want to grow things like avocados and nuts. So
but
they
one
are
of the
killing
biggest
animals.
one of the biggest destruction of the rainforest is like cattle farming, though.
I think you'll find it's also plant-based food.
Sure, yeah, there's soybeans as well, but a lot of soybean goes to animal feed, so I don't really. I've read about this.
Yeah,
and I feel guilty every day.
I don't think you should.
Fine.
I think anybody who eats an avocado should feel guilty.
I eat those as well.
Oh no!
Oh damn it!
Bacon and avocado sandwich, and you're
that's true. Yeah, that's true. What a disastrous meal.
So just don't eat tofu. That's really bad. What does David Attenborough eat?
That's true. He better eat nothing. I was just about to say David Attenborough would turning in his grave, but he's still alive, of course. Sorry, touch wood. Touch wood. Yeah. What does David eat?
What would he eat?
I don't know. Has anyone ever asked him that?
Maybe animals that are killed in front of him.
Yeah, he kills his own animals.
Yeah,
he just eats blue whale.
Yeah, or something that's
blue whale and penguin.
It's like his version of roadkill. Just that it's Serengeti.
The carcasses from the Serengeti. Yeah.
Who knows? That would be good. That wouldn't be wasting it.
No, it's true. Yeah.
So there you go. Right, we're going to take a break. Back in a sec.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hi there, this is Talk, and it's Petrie, and with me is Cody Darler, comedy writer and podcaster, and we've just had some information about David Attenborough. This is according to AI, so it might not be true. But David Attenborough, 99, is not a vegetarian. While he significantly reduced his meat consumption and expressed concerns about the environmental impact of animal agriculture, he still eats fish and poultry. He stated he no longer has the same appetite for meat and has attributed this change to his growing awareness of the planet's condition. I thought he was more aware of the oceans, and correct me if I'm wrong, but there's fish in there.
Yeah. That's true. He says he eats fish.
Yeah.
I think that's a kind of lesson for us all in a way. If David Attenborough still eats a bit, like, of all the things he's seen, and he can still live with himself by having a bit of meat. I mean, I kind of feel
that makes
like,
you feel better, doesn't it?
Well, it actually kind of makes me feel a bit sad. I feel like if he's not vegetarian, then no one will be. I mean, loads of people
I think if you're going to be vegetarian, you've also got to not wear leather and look, it's difficult enough for me every time I go shopping to not buy American goods.
Oh, it's impossible.
But I am doing it.
Really?
Yeah. But there's no Heinz allowed in my house now.
So, yeah.
Even Heinz tomato ketchup, which is a big sacrifice.
But what do you buy instead?
I did some research into ketchups. Marks and Spencer's Own is brilliant.
And they're British?
Yeah. And it's really good.
They're not repurposed Heinz?
No, they're not repurposed Heinz.
Okay.
So, I check everything now to see if it's American in origin and don't buy it if it is.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can do it. You can do it. But you've got to go all the way. Because no point just going, well, I'll have a bit of Heinz.
Yeah, that's why we're back to the vegetarian argument in a way. Yeah, it's all or nothing.
It's all or nothing, isn't it? Right, the Mirror. None for the road. Driving laws shake up. Motorists face stricter drink driving limits, but not zero. I think it should be zero.
Yeah, I think it is in Scotland, isn't it?
No,
or is it
lower.
half a pint in Scotland?
It's lower in Scotland, and they're looking now to reduce the English and Welsh levels to the Scottish levels.
Right.
But interestingly, the Scottish levels lowering did not alter the numbers of accidents.
The Scottish level didn't?
No, when they came lower, it didn't change the accident statistics at all. It didn't make them go lower. But when I lived in Germany, it was zero.
I mean, is the fact that it's... Can it like legally not be zero? As in that if you have
I think there is a even in Germany we were told not to. Some medicines had alcohol.
Yes,
in them,
right.
So not to, because zero is very difficult. But you can have a float. I suppose they would just float that zero.
Yeah.
But it's
whatever the zero equivalent is.
The zero equivalent is, yeah. But also with drug driving, they're now able to do spit tests at the side of the road as opposed to having to get blood tests. So that'll hopefully change things.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. But it should be. It really should be zero. I don't, because I think if people think, oh, I can have one, or maybe I can have a half.
Yeah, well, exactly. I mean, this is also, I heard something recently. It's the same with drinking while pregnant. Now, the reason it's actually, I don't use me as an example. Anyone listening, please don't. But that is what I heard, that you can. It's quite safe to drink one drink if you're pregnant. But the reason it is no drink, is because people, once they start, find it difficult to stop.
Yeah.
Which I think is
it probably is
the same with
I mean, I
driving.
drank like a fish when I was pregnant with my son. He's all right.
Did you realise you were pregnant?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, I did. But I mean, I think that was,
You drank like a fish.
28 years ago. It was quite stressful. It was 28 years ago, and it wasn't such. You could eat cheese and all sorts of things in those days as well.
No, I think you can still eat cheese.
No, you can't eat soft cheese when you're pregnant because of listeria and things like that. So but nobody talked about it in those days.
It's not like the medieval period, Petrie. Surely you could. It's only 28 years ago.
People were smoking and drinking and having a whole of.
The 90s were wild.
Nothing wrong with their kids.
They really were. They're out of control. Unbelievable.
No, it wasn't. I mean, I didn't. I mean, I drank as much as I drink.
You can't go back on it now. You said it. It's out there in the open.
Yeah, it's out there now.
Your son is fine.
He's all right.
He's all right.
No, he's fine.
He's currently drunk at the side of a road.
No, he's good. He's good. He's doing well. He's all right. The Guardian. The truth has died. Global fury as Israeli strikes hits journalists. So, as you said, the Guardian picking up on that story. Thank goodness. And a warning of drought-like weather until mid-autumn. Swimmers, that looks nice, doesn't it? That Lido.
Yeah, very nice.
Is it Lido or Lido?
I think it's I think I say Lido. I don't know if
tomato.
Yeah. I think it's Lido.
Lido. I used to go to a Lido with my dad and my brothers in Edgware when I was a kid.
Is it still there?
I don't know.
No, I think There's Hampstead Heath. There's a Lido there, isn't there? There's one in Tooting.
Well, they've got the Pen Ponds, haven't they, as well? They've got the ponds there, that fresh water, which I've never swum in. But that does look really nice. Have you?
Yeah, I have. It's good, but then...
Is it cold, though?
It's very cold, and then someone mentioned that there could be water rats, and I freaked out.
Oh, yeah. No.
Yeah. So, but very nice. You should go. It's really good. This picture of the Lido is in Derbyshire, though. It's lovely there.
It looks really nice, and it doesn't look crowded. I mean, all the ones in London would just be... You wouldn't be able to move in them.
Yeah.
But it does look very nice. Believe in the poppet. Ventriloquism. I can't even say it. Ventriloquism. Ventriloquism. Is that right? Ventriloquist.
Don't rope me into this. Yeah, you're saying it fine.
It's cool again. There are some quite good ones on TikTok, actually. Have you seen them?
Ventriloquists.
Ventriloquist is easier than ventriloquism.
Yes, no doubt about it. I'm not going to try it. On TikTok. So you're saying there's popular ventriloquism?
Yeah.
You're right. It is hard.
It's really
on TikTok.
hard, yeah.
On TikTok. What?
Yeah. There's some really good ones, actually, that pop up.
Is that why it's cool again, I wonder?
Every now and then. Well, there's Randy Feltface.
Yes.
Who I've interviewed in this studio.
Really?
Yeah.
Look at me standing on the shoulders of giants.
And we fell in love a bit.
Wow.
We did. He was flirting with me a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, me and Randy Feltface.
Okay.
And he's very funny. Have you seen...
You're already putting the nail in the coffin here. Okay, I get it. He was really funny.
He was really
He was really funny and I was attracted to him. Okay.
And he's a little purple alien.
Yeah.
But he's a lot of his tour stuff is out at the moment, and he's very, very good. A brigade of old gits, the older stars taking Edinburgh Festival by storm, and Marion Margulies. Oh, that's got to be a journey and a half going to see her, isn't it?
Yes, I mean she's brilliant.
She no holds barred,
No.
swears like an absolute trooper.
It's very common at the Fringe to have older performers.
Have you ever done the Fringe?
Yeah, I've done it 4 times.
Have you?
Yes, when I was at university, I did the Fringe 4 times as part of a sketch troupe. Yeah, I've had the whole breadth of Fringe experience, performing to 2 people.
Oh yeah.
People walking out, and then having successful Fringe runs. It's a real up and down. I've got quite a lot of friends there at the moment, and yeah, you see.
It's quite expensive to go there now, isn't it? I went there once with a show, but I was just basically I was going out with the actor that was in it, but I was also floor. And we had the hit of the Fringe at the Carlton Studios coming on after us.
Oh.
So you'd see queues of people.
Yeah. It's a real...
And there was nobody in for us.
Yeah. It's the festival of extremes, where there'll be people selling out, they've sold out their whole runs, 5-star reviews, and there'll be people who...
Yeah.
Also brilliant, but get no one coming to see them.
Yeah, there's an equity rule, isn't there? That you don't have to perform if there are more people on the stage than in the audience.
Yeah.
And when I tell you that the show that we took, there was a 2-man show, and one of the actors, it wasn't Steve, wasn't my boyfriend, but it was simple, and said one person in the audience said, "Do you want us to do the show or not?" And he looked at his watch. Obviously, had nowhere else to be, and he went, "Yeah, go on then."
That's happened to me as well. That's happened to me. The people coming. I've not had to deliver that question, but I've been asked it. But people are like, it's a bit awkward. People don't. Actually, people didn't say, do you want me to do it? They were like, this is a bit awkward. Leave.
It is horrible.
Yeah. So the Fringe is incredible, but yeah, it's also the worst place in the world.
If you're not.
Yeah, but again, it's no reflection on how good you are. It's it's a strange place. Yeah, that's what I'm telling myself anyway.
It totally is. But anyway, it was certainly interesting, and I would love to go back as not being involved in it, but it's so expensive now, isn't it?
Very expensive.
To even put a show on there, let alone.
Oh my God! If you get it, if you're talking shows, it costs a fortune. It's just like anything good in this country. It's been taken over by corporations and greed. Yeah.
Because the Fringe was originally offered to London. Did you know?
Really?
Yeah.
It was like Alan Bennett, wasn't it?
Turned it down.
Really?
And, they didn't want the chaos and the mess of.
Didn't want the Liberals.
Yeah, the Liberals, your type. And so Edinburgh took it. And it's, of course, become an incredibly globally known success story.
It's a brilliant festival and people should go.
They should go.
Yeah, they really
it
should.
really is amazing. And then, of course, you've got the military tattoo straight after it.
Yeah.
Haven't you?
There's nothing more depressing than flying on the mile and people just saying, I'm here for the tattoo.
Yeah.
I don't want to go anywhere near a comedian.
Yeah, that's that's not good. The Daily Telegraph, just finally, we'll have a look at this. Why tradeswomen are replacing the white van man. I like that story.
Yeah, it's about time the white van man was replaced.
But
Although
also,
that's only going to make them more angry,
probably
isn't it?
trust women more, maybe, not to rip them off, or.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, yeah. I'm going to keep stum about tradespeople because I'm going to say something offensive.
Because you need some work done.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to be ripped off.
No, I know that there's some really good women plumbers, and they're setting up companies now just with women.
Really?
Yeah, women tradies, which is absolutely brilliant. But I'll leave you with that so that you don't get overcharged. Cody Darla, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much
Thank
indeed. You don't strike me as a man that's handy with a screwdriver.
Absolutely not.
No, I thought not. Cody Darla, comedy writer and podcaster, and you can find him, as I did, on TikTok. So, Mr. Cody Darla, do check him out. Right, coming up, though, it's just you and me, and we are going to continue the conversation about these new driving rules. And they're looking to overhauling. It's the first time in a couple of decades, actually, that the driving safety rules have been updated. It's probably overdue to be done. But a couple of the ideas they've come up with, I wonder if you agree with. One of them is that drivers over 70 who fail an eye test would be banned from driving again. Also, they're going to be lowering the drink-drive limit, but not to 0. And anybody not wearing a seatbelt will face a fine. So, what would you do to keep the roads safer? Give me a call, 0344 499 1000.
Hurrah for operating small boats.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello, Good morning. It is Petrie here with you, and I'm with you for the next hour. And this is your hour. This is where you get to interact on the stories of the day. And the story that I've chosen for this morning is the new drivers bill that is being put together, new road safety laws being drawn up by ministers. What is expected to be the biggest shake-up of driving rules for almost 2 decades. The government would look to reduce the drink driving limit and punish drivers with penalty points if passengers fail to wear a seatbelt. There could also be tougher penalties for uninsured drivers. I don't even know how they're going to find the uninsured driver. You don't know until you crash into one, basically. But anyway, all of this, the Road Safety Act came in under Tony Blair in 2006. So this is the first time, really, there'll be a far-reaching update of these rules. And I think that that is probably massively overdue. But the people I want taken off the road, I don't know how you legislate for them. I don't know how you find them and then fine them for being absolute morons. I mean, is there a test for that? You know, those people who boy racer it even at 20 miles an hour and who have to, you know, appear to have the nuclear codes on them as they're driving and overtaking you and then end up at the same traffic lights like idiots that they are. I don't know how you find them, but I think they're the biggest threat to road safety. I genuinely do. They're trying to overtake all the time. The same with motorbikes. Weaving in and out of traffic and behaving like they've got, you know, they're way more important than anybody else on the road. So I tend to think that the idiot tax should come in, but I don't know, like I said, I don't know how you legislate for that. I don't know how you can spot them. People who don't use their indicators because they think they're optional. For example, people who don't stop at a roundabout because they think that they're more important and that that's optional. I'd like those people taken off the road, please. But I just don't know how you would find them. But this is now becoming a problem. Growing evidence that deaths and serious injuries on Britain's roads are rising after significant declines. So last year, 1,633 people died in road traffic accidents. Now listen, compared to how many miles of road and how many cars there are, that is a relatively low number, right? 28,000 were seriously injured. But that is about one casualty every 18 minutes. Like I said, though, compared to the number of miles of road and the number of cars on the roads, those numbers are really quite low. But because they're rising, people are saying, well, look, it is time now that we got a bit tougher. And I think when I was learning to drive, it wasn't quite the days where there was a man with a flag walking in front of the car, but there was definitely, the cars were rubbish, right? They didn't have assisted braking, they didn't have assisted steering, they had nothing. It was a box on wheels, right? Certainly my Mini was my first car. But we were kind of scared into putting safety belts on by Jimmy Savile of all people. Yeah. Clunk, click every trip. And that had a peach, if you remember, with a hammer swinging into it as an indication of what would happen to you if you went through your windscreen. Oh, and windscreens, by the way, didn't shatter the way they do now either. They splintered. So it was pretty gruesome. They didn't have safety glass in them. So cars have changed, right? Cars are much safer now. A lot of cars nag you now. They will tell you if there's another car next to you. Some of them brake rapidly without you touching the pedals if there's a person too close to the bonnet or whatever. So some of these cars are incredibly safe now. But with that, those deaths are rising, and we should be seeing them steadfastly coming down with all of these safety features. But as regards to drunk driving or drug driving, not wearing a safety belt, particularly if there's a passenger maybe not in the back seat, they won't wear safety belts. We're seeing that more people are dying, even in those impacts where there are airbags and things like that. So it is a conundrum that we're seeing these cars now with these airbags, with these safety. I've got 4 airbags in my car, passenger and front passengers in the back and front and me. So you would hope that helps. I've also got this thing where if there's a crash, the car phones the emergency services. I don't know. And there's an alarm button that you can press as well if you're in an accident, and they know how many people are in the car as well. So all of these things, I obviously don't understand how it works. I don't intend to crash to find out. But why are we seeing an increase in deaths when we are seeing much safer cars and much slower speed limits? Because you've got in London now, the speed limit is almost everywhere. I mean, you might as well just accept that it's 20 miles an hour. There's very few roads where it's 30. There are average speed cameras on other roads. You know, there's a lot being done to slow drivers down. But even with that, we're still seeing the number of deaths rising. So why? What is going on? Well, one of the theories is that there are more old people driving now. We have a growing ageing population. That's the same as we see with the pension bill growing. We're seeing the number of older people driving growing, and they do cause accidents. They're either the cause of the accident because of their driving, or they're literally the person who is in the crash as well, or knocking people over on pedestrian crossings. So that is one factor. And older people, I've got a graph here that shows that the older the driver, the more likelihood there is going to be they are going to cause a crash or be in a crash. So it's definitely an issue. So this theory now that drivers over the age of 70 would be banned from the roads if they fail compulsory eye tests. And at the moment, if you're over 70, you know you have to replace your licence every 3 years. But you can tick a box to say you've had an eye test and say that your eye test was fine. These would be compulsory, and that would feed presumably directly to the DVLA. So I don't see that those drivers would be banned if they could then wear driving glasses that would solve the problem. If you're short-sighted or long-sighted, that, or colourblind, that isn't a problem. But it's just, I suppose, if your eyesight is diminishing to a point where you're, you can't see properly at all, even with glasses, then you would be banned. So what do you think would make driving safer? I mean, tailgaters, there's a special place in hell for, and middle lane hoggers on the motorway, there's a special place in hell for them as well. But what is the most dangerous to you? What do you find when you're driving could cause you harm? And for me, it's reckless drivers, but I just don't know how you account for that. These people who probably cause accidents and then just drive off, what would account for that? How could we find those people? Unless we just say BMW drivers. Mind you, mine's a Mini, which is made by BMW, so I'd be one of them. Sarah is in Liverpool. Morning, Sarah, how are you?
Good morning, Petrie, how are you?
I'm good, thank you, for a Tuesday morning. What do you think? Should over 70s have to have a compulsory eye test?
Well, to be perfectly honest, I think anybody should, as soon as you get your licence, you should have eye tests in order to make sure that you can drive. Because I have come across people who are well under the age of 70 who are driving with eye conditions. I mean, missing an eye. You're supposed to be able to have, use both eyes to drive, not just one. And other eye problems which aren't good if you're driving, which you can imagine what they are.
Yeah, I was saying earlier, I had perfect eyesight, I mean 2020 or whatever it is, perfect eyesight until I hit my mid-40s. And then, your arms get too short, you can't, read stuff. And it was only when I became aware driving at night that I was a bit fuzzy. And I immediately went and had my eyes tested, and they said I was borderline for driving glasses. And I said, no, just give me some anyway. I'd borderline or not, I'm having them. And I just felt more confident. And of course, as the years have gone by, I'm now trifocal all the time glasses. Because I think if you do wear glasses, that weakens your eyes. But it's definitely done that to me. But I do agree with you. It's mid-40s, I think, is when ocular degeneration sets in.
Yeah, it does. It can also happen. It's happening a lot younger with young people because they've got forever with those damn screens in front of them.
Yeah, that's a good point.
In front of the nose. Because the amount of people who are getting short-sighted. I mean, I'm short-sighted, but I've been short-sighted since I was a kid because I've got rugby ball-shaped eyeballs.
Right.
Sport-related injury. That's what I put it down to. So people's eyesight, people are just not looking after their eyes. Oh, I don't have to go and get an eye test. Why should I? If you don't get an eye test, how on earth are you able to see if you're driving on the road? The other thing that would also help is if parents who've got more money than sense stop buying their young offspring when they get a car. When they get their licence, they get a car. Now, at one time, it used to be a milk float with a governor, basically.
Yeah.
Now, the amount of times I've seen some of them from the more affluent parts of Merseyside come zooming down in A3s.
Yeah, they're too powerful. They're too powerful.
Some of them even in Porsches, and I'm going, hang on a minute. If you've got a car like that, you've got to have a fair bit of power in your upper body to control the steering wheel, even allowing for all the whistles and bells that cars have got now. And if you haven't got those muscles, and if you haven't got the reactions, and more the point, the experience to know how to handle a car like that with that much power, I mean, most of these have got anything from up to a V8 engine. You don't stand. If any of you get into trouble, you do not stand a chance. I mean, I've seen people in Ford Fiestas literally make an absolute mess of the road back in the day. And they go, well, I'm not driving fast. As people get out of the car and kiss the ground. And you go, really? You are not fit to drive. You need to have extra lessons.
Yeah,
That's
another
thing.
Is there no limit?
Every 5 years to make sure people know what they're doing.
Is there no CC limit for young people when they get cars? I mean, I know when my niece passed her driving test, and they live out in Ludlow, so my sister wanted to buy her a car, but she basically bought her a hairdryer on wheels. I think it was 800. So it wasn't even 1,000 cc. It was a little Fiat, I think. But literally, even going up hills, she'd have to be almost in first gear because it had no engine power at all.
Yeah.
And that was it. And she wasn't allowed to drive anything of more power than that. And I would have thought that should be restricted. If it isn't, then it should be restricted. Under the age of 25. You're restricted to under 1,000 cc's.
That's it. I mean, that's what they should do, but they won't. The other thing that will
unbelievable that they don't.
They don't. The other thing that will make life a lot safer, and I've been on the receiving end of this, is people who just don't give a monkeys. I mean, this happened to me last year, just before the start of the football season, and it happened again last Saturday when it comes to reckless drivers. Last year, I was crossing a road. The lights were for me, and we have a word in Liverpool for somebody who is the lowest of the low. It's called no mark. It's not a swear word or anything, just means somebody who is just an absolute nutter, nasty piece of work, useless with it, just causes trouble wherever they go. And this person decided that he didn't want to wait for the lights. He started to move ahead. He was going about... Luckily for me, it was about 10 miles an hour. I got clipped. The bags I was carrying went one way. I went the other, and my head hit the granite curb edge.
Ouch.
Yeah,
that could have killed you.
Yeah, luckily for me, I've got a hard head. I could have ended up in intensive care. And again, there was a friendly being played at Goodison, and there was a load of Evertonians, and they just came over. Oh, hey, Gail, come on, you're all right. Picked me up, dusted me down. He said, you better get a bit of ice on that lump on your head, Gail. Keep an eye on yourself. Don't you worry about it. Go and have a few minutes. Get your head together. You'll be, if you have any problems, you get yourself the A&E, Gail. I said, oh, don't worry, I will. I've still got the lump actually, but I had about 4 to 6 weeks of concussion.
Wow.
I was lucky. There's a lot of people who'd have ended up in a royal mess. I think there's still a dent in that curbstone, actually. But, yeah, last Saturday, again, dangerous driver.
It's the impatience, isn't it? For me, that is a bigger killer that's got to be. You know, people who are, for some reason, they think that they're so important that they've got to be, you know, racing around everything and cutting lights and
that's it,
and overtaking people.
Petrie? You know what the reason is? 9 times out of 10, this is from what I've seen around where I live. You can bet your boots at the back of it, whoever it is has been on some form of stimulant, and I do not mean caffeine. Think Colombian castor sugar.
Yeah.
And they are so doped up, and they're on steroids as well, because, I mean, there's a few of them that I've seen where they have to literally have one arm literally out the window so they can use the steering wheel. But that doped up on it, and you can see the eyeballs from space because they're yellow. And that happened, I mean, and a good example of that was last Saturday. Again, I'm getting my mum's got a few health problems, and she's supposed to get her knee sorted out. And I was helping her into a taxi. Now, anyone else would just wait a few minutes.
Yeah.
This guy in a souped-up Mini Cooper. It's funny. All these, should we say, alternative businessmen, shall we say? They all drive the likes of A3s and souped-up Mini Coopers. And I'm getting my mum in. I'm just going, will you just wait? Because I thought, I'm not putting up with you. As he couldn't even, as he was literally, his arms were like at 180 degrees, literally holding onto the steering wheel because he couldn't put them down. And he's driving slow, trying to intimidate me. I thought, oh, please, pick on somebody else, lad. And he walks, and he drives past, and he came out with a mouthful of, well, it wasn't English. I'd say it was ancient Norse, Anglo-Saxon, and Old English. And I went, oh, really? And the same to you, son. And I thought, here we go. Just like last year, except this time I didn't end up with a lump on my head. But this is the sort of thing, the impatient drivers, the reckless drivers. The other thing that doesn't help is when somebody is trying to cross a road. I mean, the size of cars these days, they are massive, and people park on the pavement. So if anybody's going down with a pram, or they've got a mobility aid, sort of like a wheelie, or they're in a wheelchair, they have to go in the road, and then somebody gets on at them for going in the road, so they can get from one part of the road to the other, without having to climb over cars. I mean, this is a new game in Liverpool, actually. Have you heard of parkour, where they climb buildings in Paris? We do car parkour to climb over cars which are bigger than a Sherman tank to get from one side of the road to the other.
Yeah, and they all park, they're all squeezed in, and there's no gaps in between.
Tell me.
But it is thoughtlessness, isn't it? I mean, I think that a lot of the problems on British roads, I don't know if it's the same all over the world, but it is a lot of selfish deeds, selfish actions, and just being a bit of a pillock.
It is. And the thing is, I always remember my dad saying that the most selfish creature on the planet is a motorist. And this was about 30, 40 years ago. Now, my dad, when he was driving, I mean, he used to drive HGVs and cars and whatever. He used to drive a lot of vehicles, and I think he drove a couple in the army, so God knows what he drove there. And I always, when he got heart trouble, the first thing they said to him is, well, you're on the pills and whatever, it's stable, so, if you have any problems, let us know. It wasn't long before the angina went unstable, then he went, right, that's it. With all the lunatics on the road, and this is 30-odd years ago, he went, the licence is going back. And he said, I've got my licence, but that's the last car I drive, because I am not going to risk my life, anyone in the car's life, and anybody on the road. More the point. I'm not risking anyone's life because I want to drive. And the thing is, a lot of people, especially since COVID, people have got more selfish, and they think the rules don't apply, and they go, well, I've got a license and I'm self-reliant and I'm going to drive, and I don't give two hoots, or words to the effect, what I do to anybody else, because I have got the right to have a license, and this is me, and I am self-reliant. Terribly sorry, you are being selfish, and there's no such thing as self-reliance, because we all rely on each other. Everybody is interconnected with each other, and that's what society is. When it isn't, what you're talking about is what a certain person 40-odd years ago was saying about we do not have a society.
Yeah.
And behaviour like that is out of order. You show respect and courtesy to other people, and the same goes.
Yeah, but like you said, people just don't want to give up their cars.
That's it. And they go, I mean, I'm not allowed to drive. I mean, I never got a license anyway. But if I did, I'd have handed mine back because I get non-epileptic seizures, and I thought I'm not risking anyone's neck if I get a seizure. No way. I wouldn't have. I'd have just said, no car. The license is only going to get used for ID.
If you killed somebody or whatever, it'd be just awful, wouldn't it?
It would, and most people don't give a hoot. I mean, there was an example of what goes on, how people are today, and this is on the other side of the world. When a stupid backpacker from, I think she was from somewhere in the Midlands, I think. She was over in Australia.
Oh, I saw that. She was drunk on an e-scooter, wasn't she?
Yeah, she on an e-scooter, absolutely bevied, and she went and ran over and killed a guy. Now, over in Australia, you do that, you know, drunk driving, dangerous driving, regardless if it's on an e-scooter, e-bike or a car, you are down for 20 years max. Now, here, what would you get? Community service and a slap on the wrist? The government does not take this sort of thing seriously. People have got to realise that they are driving a lethal weapon. And the same goes for the e-scooters and the e-bikes. The amount of times I've nearly been run over, or my mum's been run over, or the kids in the street have nearly ended up in the A&E is beyond, because some person, I shall keep it polite, has decided, as they're always in uniform, of black hoodie and matching trackies and black parka. It's the apprenticeship, if you catch my drift. For nefarious purposes. They always seem to be on these these souped-up e-bikes and e-scooters, and they drive like lunatics on the road, on the pavement, and this is another thing that needs to be sorted out, because there's been quite a few people who've been maimed, and some people have even been killed. But idiots on these e-scooters, on these e-bikes, doing whatever they want, not following the rules of the road.
And you're right.
Buying them these stupid things in the first place.
The punishment isn't there. We see drunk drivers, get off with a couple of months and somebody's died, and it's just, you make a lot of excellent points, Sarah, as usual. Got to go, so I've got to make a quick break. When I come back, I'll be talking to Herbie.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there, this is Talk and it's Petrie here with you, and we're talking about the road safety law changes that are coming up in the autumn. They're due to be published in the autumn. Government sources say it would represent the most far-reaching reforms since the Road Safety Act came in under Tony Blair in 2006. So I'm asking you really, what do you think would make the roads a safer place? Because as cars have got a lot safer, there have been more deaths on the roads. That number is increasing now. It went down dramatically after safety belts and all the road safety campaigns that we watched when we were learning to drive, about drink driving and about wearing a seatbelt and all of those things that we were watching and terrified into obeying. But since the law came in to say you had to wear a safety belt, road deaths have gone down, cars have got airbags, all of those things, and yet now the numbers are starting to come back up again. Why? And what kind of drivers are causing this? And just saying there, Sarah was just saying, and quite rightly so, you know, it's not just car drivers, it's these e-bikes and e-scooters and people taking drugs while they're driving and, you know, thinking, oh, well, I won't get caught if I'm taking drugs as opposed to drinking. So there's lots of problems out there on the roads, but how do you legislate for that? And one of the ideas, of course, is that drivers over the age of 70 need to have a compulsory eye test, which I presume is then reported directly to DVLA. It's not just you saying, you know, oh yeah, I've had my eyes tested and I'm good to go. Herbie is in Harrow. Hello, Herbie. How are you?
Yes. Good morning, Petrie. Very well, thank you.
Good morning.
Yes. Well, I have to have my eyes tested because one, I'm diabetic, and I need to know that I'm safe to drive because, you know, the diabetes can affect your eyesight. So my eyes have to be done medically. I have it done every year. And I think it's only right. You know, you've been given permission. You've got a licence to drive a lethal weapon, which is a killer. You know, it is a dangerous weapon, but it's legal. It's a legal weapon, I'm afraid to say. You said the cars may be safer, but what isn't safer are the drivers. You know, some of them are absolute lunatics. You don't even stand a chance on a crossing nowadays, let alone anything else.
I know, but how do you legislate for that? Because
you can't. You can't picture it. It's impossible because these people are maniacs.
They're just selfish.
Maniacs.
They're just
more than selfish.
Yeah.
You know, they just don't care. I mean, to say the way you get cut up, because I drive all the time around London and other places, it's a complete and utter nightmare. And, you know, nobody gives way anymore. Nobody gives a damn anymore. You take your hands, you take your life in your own hands here. When you go out every time, you don't know what's going to happen. Look how many vehicles get turned over. Look how many vehicles. Look at it on television now. They sort of like, you know, run up and the things they do, overtaking on blind spots, this, that, and the other. They are literally lunatics. That 1, 2, 3 seconds is far more important than anybody else's life, Petrie.
I know, but that's what I don't understand. You're 3 seconds ahead of me, and then we're both stuck at the same red light.
Exactly?
What did that achieve?
Nothing, other than perhaps kill somebody or maim somebody or whatever. It's just the amount of lives that are lost through stupidity. We can all be impatient. We can all get angry. Of course we can. You know, at the moment, with the amount of roadworks that are going on, the amount of traffic lights, road closures, it is just, I don't know why they just don't dig up the whole of London. It'd be far better and just stop us all. You know,
this August, it's a joke, isn't it? I mean, they literally, every single road has got roadworks on it now. And nobody working on it.
Oh, yeah, the major roads around my way here are unbelievable. You know, major through routes. It's just a joke. The thing is, Petrie, people have become impatient and selfish. As I say, the cars might be safe, but maybe safer, but the people driving it on. And there's nothing wrong in getting your eyes tested or anything else. If you've got a medical condition, you should know you are safe enough to drive that lethal weapon. Remember, you've got a killer in your hands. Simply as that. It's just crazy.
But this selfishness isn't just reserved for younger people, right? No. This is also older people who refuse to give up their and I get it, their independence. My car represents complete independence to me, and even though I might not drive it all that often, I wouldn't get rid of it, because I know that if I need to get to my sister who lives in Ludlow, you know, or my son who lives just up the road actually, but I've got my car, so I'm mobile.
Yeah, but Petrie, you are safe. You are perfectly capable of driving. People that aren't are the people that are going to create mayhem. You know, you've got to remember the damage it does, the pressure it puts under the hospitals if there's any major accident or whatever. You know, if you get somebody that piles into a load of people that are walking on a pavement or something like that because they've had a heart attack or they can't see or whatever, the damage it does not only to them or to these poor people that they've knocked down or whatever, or maimed or whatever, it's the hospital pressures and everything else. It doesn't stop there, Petrie. It has a knock-on effect on everything that we do, on everything that we stand for.
But how do we change that? I mean, the whole attitude to driving is, like you said, it's selfish. Nobody gives way anymore. Nobody wants to let you out. If you make a mistake, like God forbid you make a mistake and you get in the wrong lane, and you sort of turn around and beg to get in the right lane because you haven't realised that road's closed now, or there's roadworks or whatever, and you get shouted at like and you just go, literally made a mistake. Have you never made a mistake?
Petrie, where I live, I have at the back of my place, I can park my car. Right now, I'm near a station, near a railway station, and people stop at my entrance. There's several people that come down here to park, you know, their vehicle, which are legally tried to. And the amount of abuse I get because I ask people to move because they're blocking me getting into my car parking space is unbelievable. What are you talking about? Look, I've had things thrown at me, the abuse, I've been threatened. I said, you're blocking my entrance and exit. What right? Let me come and do that to you.
Yeah.
I do not understand. I'm dropping off, I'm picking up something. I don't give a damn. You're blocking my entrance. Yeah. And I've got the people behind hootering me because I can't turn into my car parking space.
Yeah, I used to have that
every day.
I used to live in a mews, which was, you know, the tiny little cobbled street until recently, and it was a dog leg, so it was a dead end, the other end.
Yep.
And people used to park in the entrance to this mews all the time, and I'd be trying to get out or trying to get in. And they'd be going, all right. And he's like, what do you mean, all right? I'll come round to your house and park in front of your drive, shall I? Or just, what? How is this? I'm only going to be 10 minutes. What, 10 minutes?
Yeah. I've actually had one person, Petrie, believe it or not, I was up on my balcony and I saw this person park. I said, oh, excuse me, where are you going? I'm going shopping. I said, no, you're not. Move your car, I'm coming out. Yeah, I'm going shopping. You know, blocking my entrance, I'm going shopping. So what? Get out.
Yeah, we used to say to these people, look, what if an ambulance needed to get down the mews, or a fire brigade or whatever, and you're just shopping?
Yeah.
But it is that whole selfish thing. I mean, you wouldn't park in the middle of any other road, would you? Mind you, there was a road next to it that people used to park in the middle of as well. But yeah, no, it's people, and I don't know how we legislate for them, Herbie. I don't know how we get rid of them, because it is getting worse, and it is people's attitudes that is making it unsafe. Great to talk to you again, Herbie.
You
take care. Yeah. All right, lots of love. I used to talk to Herbie when I was a different radio station. Quick break. Back in a sec.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
And right now it's Petrie with you until the top of the hour. Just going to read out some messages before we go back to the calls. Drink driving should be a 5-year sentence. If you kill somebody, it should be life. And that's from Sean in County Durham. I absolutely do completely agree with that. I like this one. Says, I believe that everyone over 70 should drive to Barnard Castle to test their sight, and if all goes well, they're good to go. Yeah, we all remember that story, don't we? Testing his eyes. What an absolute pillock. Martin says, my biggest bugbear is middle lane hoggers. I hate them. I drive a lorry at night and people joining the motorway go straight out into the second or third lane and just sit there. That is until they need the exit, and then they pull over at the last second, crossing multiple lanes. Also, people race to get in front of a lorry. They just don't want to be behind one. And that's from Martin in Peterborough. I can't bear middle lane hoggers. They just... I make a point of being in the, because there isn't a middle lane, right? There's the driving lane, and then there's 2 overtaking lanes, or 3 or 4, depending on how wide the carriageway is. So I drive in the driving lane, and then I have to overtake somebody in the middle lane, in the second lane, and then pull back into the driving lane. And I do give them a dirty look to say, you could have done that, you pillock. But they don't. They just sit there in the middle lane. I hate them. Special place in hell for them. This message is also a good one. So the problem is that making cars safer also makes you take more risks. And this is just human nature, and it's true of any situation. If you know that your brakes are not very good, you don't get too near other cars. But if you know your brakes are okay, you'll get nearer to the car. What we're probably seeing now is that we have a generation of motorists who know that when they put a foot on the brake, the car will stop, and stop safely. When I had my first car, this wasn't always the case. I absolutely remember, Kim. You had brake fluid on the road and stuff like that. There was always a reason. There was always something. I knew my car was rubbish, my Mini. It probably was. I mean, it did pass an MOT, but barely. I think it cost me 75 quid. Somewhere in that region. Let's go to Jordan now in Sussex, new caller. Good morning, Jordan. Nice to speak to you.
Hi, Petrie. Okay.
Yeah, I'm really well. It's good for you to call in. Yeah, thanks for calling in. What do you think about these eye tests for people in their 70s?
I say they're a very good idea. I mean, if someone has an untreatable eye condition and they can't be medicated with that, then I think definitely they need to be banned, because it's so dangerous, for drivers on the road with failing eyesight. When again, as a driver, you need to be aware of your eyes in the back of your head. Make sure everyone around you is doing what they should do. I mean, my wife had a horrible experience this morning, actually, going to work, Marie Dunbar, her name, and basically she went around one of these big roundabouts, 3-laners near where we live, was in the middle lane to come out on the left, the second exit, indicated correctly. Obviously, she told me about this, and there was a car basically stopped, or you pulled off, got out of his car on this little slip road off to the roundabout and said, "Oi, love, get out of your car, stop, what are you doing, stop. And wife was petrified and drove to work, shaking, and then told me when she got to work about the whole experience. She was mortified and just petrified. She doesn't know if she can, at least drive in the near future. I mean, she will have to. And she said, and she ended up wetting her knickers out of fear, and she said she'd never had it happen before. I mean, she's from Spain, where actually eye tests are compulsory. When you renew your licence, you have to have an eye test.
Yeah.
So it's a part of the
all the way through. All the way through, not just at a certain age.
No, all the way through. So
yeah, I mean that makes more sense. But she was just, this person was aggressive to her.
Yeah, she was just going round and round. She teamed. It's quite a complicated roundabout, but she was in the middle lane and went to right into the middle lane to come out onto the second exit left. So across 2 lanes effectively. But this old guy, who actually told me he was probably in his 70s. He was quite old. Looks pretty worse to wear. you know, who knows whether he was under the influence of any kind of drink, I don't know. But he said, get out, love, get out your car. You know, what are you doing? You know, and she just didn't get out. She just stayed in and just luckily was able to get out and basically straight onto work. And then, told me
bless her.
Due to fear, she ended up wetting her knickers. So,
yeah, I mean, it's horrible. People are always. I find that, you know, even in the shortest journeys, people are just aggressive, and it's like, what for? Why? You know, we're all just trying to muddle through. If you get in the wrong lane, which occasionally happens, especially in London, because the roads change all the time, or you suddenly notice it's a no driving zone or whatever. Yeah. And so you need to you just indicate your weight, and people are just nasty. And it's just like, have you never made a mistake? Or they don't indicate.
She just thought, you know, she thought like calling him, you know, you pill it, but she, you know, I thought I'd bite my tongue because I don't want to cause any more problems. And but she was just, I mean, you know, for her to end up wetting her knickers, you know, I mean, she was just, you know, she's a very, you know, she's a very good driver generally, but you know, this was an absolutely unexpected event. You know, you don't expect that. You just go to work. You just want to get there and go home again. But
exactly. You just want to. But how do we? How do you legislate for people who are aggressive or just nasty or bullying?
I really don't know. I think like the first driving last night, I was told my instructor, you know, it's all about attitude. I didn't know how to drive, but it was attitude basically. If you're, you know, if you are as aggressive as a person, you can be more aggressive on the wheel because people have another mindset. And the other thing again is about, you know, lowering the drink drive limit you mentioned before. I think that is, you know, it's a good idea it's being lowered, but why isn't it zero?
Why isn't it zero?
Germany,
or as near to, you know, there's going to be some wiggle room perhaps because you might have had a cough medicine that has a bit of, you know, alcohol in it or whatever. But as close to zero as you can possibly make it. And I think that's probably why they say it isn't zero, because it's never truly zero, or your body can produce alcohol or whatever. But there's got to be a limit right down there that would account for that. You know, just saying, you can have a pint or half a pint, or I don't even know if people know how many units. I don't still. So I just don't drink if I'm driving at all.
You know, they say, and I think you said you lived in Germany. I think you said before. I mean, if it's zero, that is, you know, zero alcohol is zero. I mean, it's the safest way. You know, then obviously you're absolutely, you know, you're fine. You know, you can always have like, you know, potentially the zero, you know, alcohol drinks, or you know, or soft drinks. You know, that's, you know, soft drinks are obviously not, you know, you're in no danger at all then. So you know, it's just, I think it's a very, I think it's the right direction, but it's not a solution. You know, as I said, and this experience today, you know, I mean, I said to my wife to get into that sort of state is, you know, she's a nearly 40-year-old woman, so
that's horrible. Mum, you see that, like, and that's going to make her nervous next time she drives, or nervous next time somebody slows down in front of her, and that doesn't help anybody either.
Not at all. I mean, she passed actually in Spain. She moved here, you know, drives probably better here now than there because she's used to it. But you know, this has obviously set her back, and you know, it's again, and it's as you said before, you can't control other people's behaviour. You know, they do say, I think if everyone is an idiot until proved otherwise. Drivers, that is, you know,
but like you're saying,
that is the kind of the proof. You know,
I just find that when I'm driving now, particularly in London, I have to drive for everybody else around me, and it's exhausting.
You'd have to. Yeah. I mean, I've never driven London myself, but I've never. You know, I actually did an advanced driving course quite a long time after I passed my test. I thought I would. You know, I was asked to go to London. We'd go to London and you know, basically go near the congestion zone, but just outside of it. And I thought at the time, I think I had other things going on, and I didn't pursue it. But I think, to be honest, it was what you're telling about. You know, the 20-mile-an-hour speed limit. It's certainly not it's not an easy place to drive in. So
no, it's not fun.
All the mid-lane hoggers and the tailgaters and everything else.
No, it definitely isn't fun.
BMW and Audi. I mean, this driver today apparently was wife said he was an Audi, so that kind of goes and proves.
It kind of proves my point. Yeah, they should be the first to go.
I mean, yeah. Do you think she should be? I mean, would you say she should have the confidence to go back and drive again? Would you say?
I think that you should go out with her a couple of times. That's what I think.
I mean, if I said to end up in that, you know, that situation.
Yeah, that's awful for her. Just to try and build her confidence back up. You go out with her a couple of times. Maybe if you drive around that roundabout and then get her to do it next time with you sat next to her. That's what I would do, because the lack of confidence is, I get it completely, and because it's horrible when you're confronted like that. But if she hasn't got her confidence back up, she's going to be a worse driver and potentially...
It's going to be a wreck.
Yeah. So I'd take her out a couple of times with you in her car.
I did try and even I just had to make a little bit of the small amount of humour I could. And I just said, maybe just take a extra pair of knickers with you.
Well, buy her some tenor ladies.
No, I think she might need that actually. Yeah, I think she's
I'm joking, by the way. Don't ever do that.
No.
Don't ever do that. She'll divorce you.
No. She's pregnant again, but anyway. So she probably need. I don't mind saying she probably needs them. So
Yeah, but that's probably another thing that created the stress as well, is being pregnant.
Yeah, I mean she's in early stages, so it isn't like it's anything.
I know, but still, it's that whole. What if he punched me, or what if he, all of that adds to it as well. Oh, bless her.
Hopefully she won't divorce me now.
No, just don't buy her tenor ladies, and then you'll be fine. You'll be fine.
No,
Never take my advice.
Having a all the stuff on that live TV,
Yeah, I know. Oh, bless her. Send her my love, won't you? Bless her. Jordan, it's been great talking to you. Please call again.
I will do. Thanks so much, and you take care. Yeah.
All right, and you look after yourself. He said, if she finds out about that call, he's in trouble. I'm going to take a break. I'll be back in a sec.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there. Sorry, I was just waving at a producer who just popped in to say hello. Hello, Mark. Right, it's Petrie here with you until the top of the hour, and we're talking about these new road safety laws. I just want to read a couple of messages before I go to the calls. My best mate died 20 years ago. He was a taxi driver. A drunk driver killed him and 3 others. He got 7 years and was out after 3. So this is a problem for me. He should have got life. I've never got over it. And that's from Sean. No, of course not. That's disgusting. I mean, that's the problem, isn't it? These people are right back out on the roads. This one says, I developed cataracts at 65 and only realised I had a problem when I couldn't read a number plate of a car in front of me. I'm now okay. And don't people already, Leslie says, don't people already have their eyes tested every few years if you wear glasses? Yes. Yeah, well, I do every 2 years. And Simon says, this constant attacking of the older generation is getting out of hand. The statistics shows that younger drivers are more likely to have an accident, not older drivers who've had years of experience behind the wheel. If you really want to concentrate on a group of people that causes accidents, then what about women in cars with lots of kids? And that's Simon in Bray. Well, actually, Simon, I have in front of me car driver casualty rates. And if you're watching, I might even be able to show you the old-fashioned way. And you can just see the scale there. At this end is young drivers. That's the young drivers, 17 to 24-year-old. And then it goes all the way across, and that is older drivers. And look, and that's the 86 plus is the highest one there. So actually, it is older drivers. It's not constantly attacking them for no reason. It is older drivers that are causing the most accidents. Statistically speaking, from the age of, certainly from 80 upwards is the biggest number of cohort of people who have accidents. Anyway, let's go to Kevin, who's in Leicestershire. Hello, Kevin.
Good morning, Petrie.
Good morning.
Are you today? You're great.
I'm very well. How are you?
Well, I'm pretty good, actually. I've had a long one today.
Have you?
On the road. Yeah.
Yeah, you haven't phoned for a while. You've obviously been busy.
Well, I don't know. It's the subjects. You've had some good callers on, and I've not really. I think I spoke to you a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, no, you did. Yeah, you did. But it's nice to have you just listening anyway. So I like that. So what do you think about this?
But this is more my subject. Firstly, is this a Labour idea? This thing.
Yeah.
Wow, so Labour have come up with a good idea. That actually is quite surprising. That got me going. While I was waiting, I thought, hang on a minute, this is a Labour idea. Anyway, as regards the eye testing thing, I do think that's a good thing. I have to have my eyes tested regularly because I'm an HGV driver. I think you have you on, and they would have had that go through the same. One question you asked earlier on, I think it was regarding insurance. How do they know? And you only know if they've had an accident. Do you remember that one?
Yeah.
Well, in police cars, and you have got the green cameras around as well that pick this up, but in police cars, the copper's not doing anything. He's just driving. But there's a camera in police cars now that scans every single registration of every oncoming vehicle or every car it follows, and it will tell them on the computer if that car is insured, taxed, and MOT'd. And if it comes up red, the copper can pull you over or spin around. So actually, if you're not insured, they should do that, which, is one.
Yeah, but there's not enough police. There's not enough police, and B, in this country, it's not the car that's insured, is it? It's the driver.
That's very true, and that's the thing. You could have a non-insured driver driving a car that's registered to a driver
to somebody else. Yeah,
it's not a perfect system, and like you've nailed it. There's not enough coppers about, but I am just suggesting that there are other ways that you can be found out rather than just having an accident.
That is true. But like you said, it's an imperfect system, and there are so many uninsured drivers on the roads.
Yeah, and I think in regards to you said there's more accidents these days. One of your callers said it earlier on. There is definitely, obviously, more cars on the road. I've been driving half my life, and I've seen the standard has got worse. But if there's more cars on the road, there's a lot more drivers who have took tests in other countries, and their licence is valid in this country.
Good point.
And that goes for HGV drivers as well. Let me make it clear: if anyone listening to this right now is following a truck and its rear number plate is white, it will be a foreign driver, most likely left-hand drive, and he can't see you because he's not on his good side. His steering wheel's on the other side, and they don't have to do the stringent tests that we have to do. This leads me to another point as well. You will keep asking people, how can we make this better? Well, this is something as HGV drivers have to do, and I think this would be really good to put. You have a hazard perception test. You have to do a few things for new drivers.
Yeah.
I think this would be something good you could add to that test. It's something that I guarantee any HGV driver, when I say this, will probably smile because he'll have seen the same video as me, or videos, but we get reminded of things. There was a very famous A34 crash where a truck driver was messing about on his phone and he looked up, the traffic had slowed down, he went over God knows how many cars, you can imagine the rest, and it broke. And you've seen the truck driver after, when he realised how many people's lives it ended, it was very daunting. He did get sent to prison. I don't know if he's still there now, but it was tragic. And when you see that video, you do think more. Now, I just think if there's something like that in a driving test, it might make people think a little bit more.
I really do think that the adverts we used to watch when we were younger really made us all scared and helped with our driving. Kevin, great to talk to you. Thank you very much indeed. Poor Ross.
Hello, Petrie.
When you learnt to drive, was there a man with a red flag?
It felt like it, but it took me 3 goes to pass my test.
Did it?
I'm a terrible driver, unless you're my insurance company, in which case I'm very safe and slow.
Yeah, you're really, really safe.
But I can spend hours waiting to pull out of the roundabout still. No, I mean, I don't really enjoy. I'm a born passenger.
Yeah.
But, it took me out, with kids, you've got to drive. But I've managed to kind of give it up now and rely on public transport, mainly. Really? Which is good news.
Oh, I love driving. Anyway, what have you got coming up?
On the show this morning, well, if you go to Florida or you go to the west coast of America and you go to the theme parks, beside them there's always a massive water park. We haven't got an American water park in this country, but one's on the way, £200 million water park, an hour from London, an hour from Birmingham, 30 minutes from Bristol, on the way at Bicester in Oxfordshire, and we've got the people behind it coming on the programme this morning.
Wow.
Typhoon Lagoon comes to the UK.
Have we got the weather for that?
Well, a lot of it's going to be under kind of, with the summer we've had so far, the fourth heat wave, maybe we have, but a lot of it's going to be under kind of domes, and it's going to be like centre parks, but